I'm on my knees in a five-star hotel garden, watching the woman I love walk away, and she has no idea I'm about to lose $8 billion just to save what she cares about most. The gravel digs into my knees through my expensive suit pants. November wind cuts across my face, carrying the scent of jasmine from the garden beds around me. Emma's silhouette disappears through the glass doors, back into the charity gala where 200 people are drinking champagne that costs more than most people's monthly rent. She doesn't look back. Why would she? To her, I'm just Caleb, the freelance photographer she met 3 weeks ago. The guy who showed up to events with borrowed equipment and an easy smile. The man who listened when she talked about her students, who asked about her day, who saw her as more than a networking opportunity. She has no idea that Caleb doesn't exist. My phone vibrates in my pocket. 17 missed calls from my CFO. The board meeting starts in 40 minutes, and they're expecting me to sign off on the deal that will demolish the community center where Emma teaches art to underserved kids. The same community center she spent an hour telling me about over coffee this morning, her eyes bright with passion as she described how art changes lives. Have you ever been so desperate to be seen as a person instead of a paycheck that you'd lie about everything just to feel human for one night? That's where my story begins. 3 weeks ago, I walked into a gallery opening wearing jeans and a borrowed camera, introduced myself as Caleb Morris, and felt something I hadn't experienced in a decade, someone actually listening to what I said instead of calculating what I could do for them. Every conversation in my real life follows the same script. People laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They agree with opinions I don't actually hold. They see dollar signs before they see my face. But Emma looked at me, not through me. When I told her about my supposed photography projects, she asked about my creative process. When I mentioned struggling to pay rent, God, the lie tasted bitter, she offered to split the check. When I talked about feeling lost in the city, she shared her own stories of loneliness. For the first time in years, I wasn't Callahan Reed, the CEO who inherited a tech empire at 25 and tripled its value by 30. I was just a guy having coffee with a beautiful woman who laughed at my actual sense of humor. I told myself it would be just one night, one conversation, one moment of being real. 3 weeks later, I'm in too deep to find my way back to the surface. My name is Callahan Reed. I'm a billionaire CEO, and I'm completely invisible. Not to cameras or investors, to anyone who might actually care about who I am instead of what I'm worth. Forbes puts me on their covers. Business journals analyze my strategies. Investors hang on my quarterly reports like they're gospel. But nobody knows that I hate modern art, even though I own a collection worth 40 million. Nobody knows I'd rather eat street tacos than attend another Michelin-starred dinner where the portions are the size of a quarter. Nobody knows I spend Saturday mornings watching cooking shows because the hosts treat their guests like people, not opportunities. My entire life is a performance. Every handshake is calculated. Every smile is strategic. Every conversation is a transaction. I've had 3 relationships in the past 5 years, and each one followed the same pattern. Initial interest, first date charm. Then the moment they Googled my name, and their entire demeanor changed. Suddenly, they're laughing differently, touching my arm more, mentioning their business ideas or their friend's startup that just needs a little capital. The worst part? I can't even blame them. When you're worth $8 billion, you're not a person anymore. You're a resource, a connection, a potential investment. So when I saw that camera equipment at a charity auction, something inside me snapped. I bid on it, picked it up, and became someone else. But one November night, I borrowed a camera, lied about my name, and met a woman who looked twice when everyone else looked away. What happened next cost me everything I'd built and gave me everything I never knew I needed. Emma Bradford teaches art to middle school kids in a community center that's sitting on prime real estate my company wants to acquire. She drives a 12-year-old Honda with a dented bumper. She wears vintage dresses from thrift stores and makes them look elegant. She believes art can save lives because it saved hers. She has no idea that the development deal I'm about to sign will bulldoze her classroom into luxury condos. And she absolutely cannot find out that the struggling photographer she's been dating is the same Callahan Reed whose signature will destroy everything she's fighting to protect. I'm standing now, brushing gravel off my knees. Through the hotel windows, I can see Emma talking with other teachers, her hands moving expressively as she speaks. She's wearing the green dress she was nervous about buying, the one I convinced her looked perfect. My phone vibrates again. A text from my assistant. Board is getting impatient. Where are you? I have two choices. Walk into that meeting, sign the papers, close the deal that will make my shareholders very happy and Emma hate me forever. Or find a way to kill an $8 billion development because I fell in love with a woman who thinks I'm broke. The smart choice is obvious. The right choice is terrifying. Welcome to Empire of Lies, where we uncover the truth hidden beneath the stories we tell ourselves. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because you're about to witness what happens when a man's empire crumbles to reveal his humanity. And to my returning family, drop a comment. Have you ever pretended to be someone else just to feel real? Have you ever told a lie that grew so big you couldn't find your way back to the truth? This is the story of how I built an empire on ambition and nearly lost everything to a lie. It's about the woman who saw through my disguise without even knowing she was looking. And it's about the moment when you have to choose between the life you've constructed and the person you actually want to be. Fair warning, this gets complicated. There are secrets within secrets, and by the time everything comes crashing down, you'll understand why some lies feel more honest than the truth. So buckle up. Let's talk about what happens when the man who has everything realizes he's never had anything at all. The penthouse overlooks downtown from 42 floors up, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view that real estate agents call breathtaking, and I call a reminder of how far I am from actual ground. Tonight, like most nights, I'm standing at those windows with a glass of scotch I don't want, wearing a suit that costs more than some people's cars, feeling absolutely nothing. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing in 3 hours. Text messages from women I've never actually met, all responding to my appearance at the Tech Innovation Summit this afternoon. Forbes ran a photo of me shaking hands with the governor, and apparently that's all the invitation certain circles need. Loved your keynote today. Would love to discuss collaboration opportunities over dinner. Cal Reed, remember me from the Anderson fundraiser? We should catch up. Your thoughts on AI integration were fascinating. Coffee this week? Every single message follows the same formula. Flattery, reference to my work, casual suggestion of meeting. Not one of them asks how I'm doing. Not one mentions anything personal. They've all Googled my net worth before typing the first word. I delete them without responding. Marcus, my head of security, knocks on the open door to my study. Sir, the car's ready for the charity event. I'm not going, I say, still staring out at the city lights. You please replied 3 weeks ago. The organizers are expecting you. Then they'll be disappointed. I turn to face him. Marcus, how many women have approached you about getting my private number this month? He shifts uncomfortably. 12, sir. And last month? 15. Do any of them ever ask what I like, what I read, what makes me laugh? Marcus's silence is answer enough. I walk to my closet, past the rows of designer suits and Italian leather shoes, to the back corner, where I keep the things that don't fit my public image. Jeans, t-shirts, a worn leather jacket my father hated. There's a charity ball at the Grandview Hotel tonight, I say, pulling out the jeans. Big event, lots of wealthy donors, photographers everywhere documenting who wore what, who donated how much. I'm aware, sir. That's where you're scheduled to appear. Right, as Callahan Reed, CEO, eligible bachelor, walking checkbook. I find a plain black shirt. But what if I showed up as someone else? Marcus frowns. Sir? The event photography company is called Lens and Light. I checked. They hire freelancers for big events. What if I just walked in with a camera, wore the same shirt as the other photographers, blended into the background? That's a security risk. Everything's a security risk. I'm changing now, shedding the expensive suit like snakeskin. Marcus, when's the last time someone had a real conversation with me? When's the last time anyone saw me as a person instead of a net worth? He doesn't answer because we both know the truth. I bought a professional camera last month. Expensive equipment, multiple lenses, the kind of gear that makes you look legitimate. I've been watching YouTube tutorials, learning composition and lighting. Not because I care about photography, but because I needed a cover story that felt believable. 2 nights. That's all I want. 2 nights where someone might talk to me because they want to, not because they've calculated what I'm worth. The shirt, Marcus says finally. The photographers wear black shirts with the company logo. I know someone who can get me one. This is a bad idea. Probably. I grab my keys, but I'm doing it anyway. The Grandview Hotel sits in the heart of the city's historic district, all marble columns and old money elegance. I park 3 blocks away in a public garage, something Callahan Reed would never do, and walk to the service entrance carrying my camera bag. A woman in a catering uniform is smoking near the loading dock. She glances at my black shirt with the lens and light logo, nods, and goes back to her cigarette. Just another worker, invisible. It's perfect. Inside, the service corridors are narrow and fluorescent bright, completely different from the luxury waiting on the other side of those doors. Kitchen staff rush past carrying trays. Someone's yelling about ice sculptures. A young guy in a bow tie is having a panic attack about forgetting the seating charts. Nobody looks at me twice. I follow the sound of string quartet music through a side door and step into the grand ballroom. The transformation is immediate and overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across hundreds of guests in evening wear. The ceiling soars 3 stories high, painted with classical frescoes. Round tables draped in champagne-colored silk fill the space. Each centerpiece a tower of white roses that probably costs more than my first car. Everyone here is performing. I can see it now that I'm on the outside looking in. The women in designer gowns, posture perfect, laughing at precisely the right moments. The men in tailored tuxedos, handshakes firm, networking even while holding champagne flutes. I've been one of them, at 100 events, just like this. But tonight, with a camera in my hands and a borrowed identity, I can finally see the performance for what it is. I raise the camera and start shooting. Through the lens, everything changes. I'm not looking at wealth or status. I'm looking for moments, real ones. An elderly couple at table 7, married 50 years according to the program, holding hands under the table while the speeches drone on. The woman's thumb traces circles on her husband's palm. Click! A waiter near the kitchen doors, young kid maybe 22, taking a deep breath and straightening his bow tie before stepping back into the crowd with a tray of champagne. Click! A woman in a silver gown laughing. Actually laughing, not the performed tinkle of networking conversation, at something her friend whispered, her head thrown back. Joy completely unguarded for 3 full seconds. Click! For the first time in months, I feel like I'm actually seeing people, instead of just processing faces in a crowd. The auction is starting. A woman in red takes the stage, describing the first item, a week in a villa in Tuscany. The bidding starts at 10,000. People raise paddles casually, like they're hailing cabs. I photograph the auctioneer's face. The way her smile stays professional even when bids reach 30,000. I photograph the couple who wins, their performance of humble gratitude. I'm so focused on framing a shot of the chandeliers reflected in champagne glasses that I don't notice someone approaching until she speaks. That's a beautiful camera. I lower it and turn. She's standing 3 feet away, holding 2 champagne flutes, wearing a burgundy dress that looks vintage in a good way. Natural hair pulled back with a simple clip, minimal makeup. No diamonds, no designer labels, no performance in her posture. She looks real. Thanks, I manage. It's, borrowed. I'm freelancing tonight. Well, you're doing it wrong. She offers me one of the champagne flutes. Photographers deserve champagne too, especially at events where they're serving the good stuff. I take the glass, surprised. Don't you need this? I grabbed 2 by accident, and the waiter already walked away. Seemed wasteful to dump it. She nods toward the auction. Besides, I'm hiding. The table behind me has been networking for 40 minutes straight. If I hear one more person say synergy or circle back, I might scream. I laugh. actually laugh. When's the last time that happened at one of these events? I'm Caleb, I say, using the nickname only my father ever called me. I go by Cal. I'm Emma Bradford. She takes a sip of champagne, makes a face. God, how do rich people drink this? It tastes like angry bubbles. And, just like that, I'm hooked. Emma leans against the wall near the silent auction tables, far enough from the crowd to breathe. She's kicked off her heels. I can see them tucked under a nearby chair, and she's standing in stockinged feet like she's at home instead of a $500 a plate charity ball. So, what brings a photographer to hide with the social workers? She asks, "What makes you think I'm hiding?" You've been photographing everything except the main event for 20 minutes. I've been watching. She smiles. Also, you look about as comfortable as I feel, and I'm definitely hiding. What are you hiding from? That table. She gestures discreetly toward a group near the stage. My sister dragged me here. She's on the board for the Children's Hospital, which is amazing, and she bought my ticket, which is generous. But these are not my people. Who are your people? Teachers, social workers, the guy who runs the taco truck on 4th Street who knows my order by heart. She takes another sip of champagne, grimaces again. I teach art to middle school kids at a community center in Riverside. This dress is from a consignment shop. I drove here in a 12-year-old Honda that makes concerning noises when I brake. I am so completely out of my depth it's not even funny. But the way she says it is funny, self-deprecating without being desperate for sympathy, honest without making it a plea for validation. The dress looks good, I say. The dress is uncomfortable and I'm going to spill something on it, guaranteed. I have a gift for destroying nice things within minutes of wearing them. She looks down at the champagne. Case in point, I'm already worried about this glass. What do you teach? Art, painting, drawing, sculpture, when we can afford supplies. Mostly I teach kids that their voices matter and creativity isn't a luxury. Her whole demeanor shifts when she talks about her work. Shoulders back, eyes bright. These people are about to bid $4,000 on a weekend in Napa. I have students who can't afford $4 for sketchbooks. That must be frustrating. It's infuriating, but it's also why I'm here. The hospital needs funding and my sister's good at shaking down wealthy people for donations. Someone has to do it. She looks at me curiously. What about you? What do you actually photograph when you're not pretending to work events? The lie sits ready on my tongue. Street photography. Urban landscapes, whatever sounds believable. But something about the way she's looking at me, actually curious, not calculating, makes me want to be honest. Nothing really, I admit. I'm kind of new at this. Tonight's actually my first real event. Seriously? She looks delighted, rather than judgmental. That's brave. I would be terrified to fake my way through something professional. Who says I'm faking? You just told me you're new at this. That's either refreshing honesty or terrible business strategy. I laugh again, twice in 10 minutes. That might be a record for the past year. The auction continues behind us. Someone just paid $18,000 for a golf package. Emma shakes her head. I could fund my entire art program for a year with that, she murmurs. New supplies, field trips to museums, visiting artists, everything. Why don't you bid on something? Get their attention? With what money? I'm here on my sister's charity. I budget grocery shopping by the dollar. I'm not in the same universe as these people. There's no bitterness in her voice, just statement of fact. She's not performing poverty for sympathy or angling for anything. She's just being honest about her reality. It's the most attractive thing I've seen all year. Your sister sounds generous, I say. She is. She's also relentless about setting me up with appropriate men, which is why I'm hiding with the photographer instead of schmoozing at table 12. Emma grins. No offense. None taken, though I'm curious what makes someone appropriate. Stable job, no criminal record, preferably someone who won't make her explain what a meme is. She pauses. She means well. She just thinks I'm wasting my potential teaching art to kids who'll never get into Ivy League schools. That's harsh. That's Claire. Emma shrugs. She's not wrong that teaching pays terribly, and the community center is always 3 months from closing. She's just wrong about what matters. Before I can respond, there's a commotion near the front of the room. A man at one of the tables stands abruptly, clutching his chest. His wife screams. Champagne glasses crash to the floor, and Emma transforms. She's moving before I process what's happening, crossing the ballroom in stockinged feet, people parting as she drops to her knees beside the collapsed man. Does anyone know if he has a medical condition? She calls out, voice calm and authoritative. Is he diabetic? Does anyone have his medication? The crowd stands frozen, wealthy donors staring in shock. Emma checks his pulse, tilts his head back, starts talking him through breathing. I'm beside her without thinking, kneeling on the marble floor in my borrowed shirt. What do you need? I ask. Call 911. Tell them possible cardiac event, conscious but disoriented. She's completely focused, hands steady. And someone get his wife. Ma'am, I need to know his medical history. The man's name is Arthur Pembroke, 73 years old, history of heart disease, forgot to take his medication this morning because they were running late. His wife provides this information through tears, while Emma keeps him conscious and breathing, speaking to him in calm, measured tones. Arthur, I need you to stay with me. Help is coming. You're going to be fine, but I need you to keep breathing slowly. In through your nose, out through your mouth. That's perfect. I've given her my jacket to put under his head. Hotel staff has cleared space around us. The string quartet has stopped playing. 200 wealthy people stand in a horrified circle, watching a social worker in a consignment shop dress save a man's life on their marble floor. The paramedics arrive in 6 minutes, though it feels like an hour. Emma briefs them with professional efficiency, rattling off vital signs and symptoms and timeline with the confidence of someone who's done this before. They get Arthur on a stretcher, his wife climbing into the ambulance with promises that the hotel will have someone drive their car to the hospital, and then they're gone. The ballroom slowly returns to normal. Conversations resume. Waiters clean up the broken glass. The auctioneer suggests a brief intermission before continuing. Emma stands alone near where Arthur collapsed, staring at her hands. I grab 2 bottles of water from a passing waiter and walk over to her. You okay? I ask quietly. She takes the water without looking up. Yeah, I work with crisis situations a lot in my job. Kids in danger, families falling apart, medical emergencies, but it never stops being scary. You didn't look scared. I was terrified. She finally meets my eyes. But you can't show it. People need you to be steady, so you're steady, and then afterward you fall apart in private. Her hands are shaking now that the adrenaline is fading. I spot her discarded heels near the silent auction table, retrieve them, found these near the shrimp tower. She laughs, watery but genuine. Of course, that's where they ended up. We walk outside to the garden terrace, away from the crowd. November air cuts cold, but it's better than the suffocating atmosphere inside. Emma sits on a stone bench, sets the shoes beside her, and doesn't put them back on. Thank you, she says, for helping. Most people just stare. You're the one who saved him. I just kept him calm until professionals arrived. She takes a long drink of water. God, I hate these events. All that money, all that privilege, and the second something real happens, everyone freezes. We sit in silence for a moment, garden lights casting shadows across the manicured hedges. Can I tell you something? I ask. Sure. I'm not really a photographer. Tonight's kind of a borrowed identity situation. She looks at me with interest instead of judgment. Yeah? What's your real story? I just wanted one night where nobody knew who I was supposed to be. The truth comes easier than expected. One night where I could just be a person instead of a role. Yeah. Emma nods slowly. I get that. And somehow, I believe she does. We talk for another hour on that terrace. She tells me about her students, about the kid who discovered he could paint emotions he couldn't speak, about the girl who got into art school against all odds. She tells me about growing up with a sister who followed every rule while she broke them all, about choosing teaching over law school, about her tiny apartment with the good light. I tell her carefully edited truths, about feeling invisible in crowds, about wanting to matter for who I am instead of what I do, about being tired of performing. I don't tell her about the 42-floor penthouse, or the $8 billion, or the CEO title. At midnight, she checks her phone and sighs. I should go. Early morning tomorrow. Field trip to the art museum with my 7th graders. Can I see you again? The question escapes before I can think better of it. She smiles. There's a community lunch at Riverside Community Center on Thursday. Free food, chaos, very unglamorous. You're welcome to come photograph the beautiful disaster if you want. I'd like that. We exchange numbers. She puts her heels back on with visible reluctance, and we walk to the parking garage together. Her Honda is exactly as described. Dented bumper, check engine light on, questionable brake noises. My Mercedes is 3 levels up, and I wait until she's gone before retrieving it. Back at the penthouse that night, I don't delete the messages from women I've never met. I just don't read them. Instead, I look up Riverside Community Center online and start planning Thursday. The garden terrace becomes our refuge for the next 90 minutes, away from the performance happening inside the ballroom. Emma sits on the stone bench with her legs tucked under her, still barefoot, dress rumpled from kneeling on marble floors. She's finished the water and started on a 3rd bottle that a sympathetic waiter brought out. The first time I had to do CPR was during my 2nd year teaching, she says, staring at the hedge maze. 8th grader collapsed during gym class. Undiagnosed heart condition. I was the only adult in the room. Did he make it? She. And yes. She's 17 now, plays soccer, sends me photos of her games. Emma's voice softens. But for 3 minutes while we waited for paramedics, I thought I was watching a child die. I still have nightmares about it sometimes. I don't know what to say to that. Every crisis in my life involves money or business deals or shareholders. Nothing with actual life or death stakes. Sorry, Emma says quickly. That's depressing. I don't usually unload on strangers at fancy events. I don't usually pretend to be a photographer at fancy events, so we're both breaking patterns. She laughs, and some of the tension leaves her shoulders. Why photography? She asks. If you're going to borrow an identity, that seems specific. Photographers blend in. They're supposed to observe without participating. It felt like the perfect disguise. I pause. That sounds sadder out loud than it did in my head. No, I get it. Sometimes you need to step out of your life just to remember who you actually are. She pulls the clip from her hair, lets it fall loose. My sister thinks I'm crazy for teaching. Says I'm wasting a perfectly good degree on kids who won't appreciate it. Do you think that? I think Claire measures success differently than I do. She's got the corner office, the investment portfolio, the networking lunches. She's objectively killing it. Emma's quiet for a moment. But she also hasn't smiled genuinely in about 3 years, and she takes pills to sleep at night. So I'm not sure who's actually winning. A couple emerges from the ballroom onto the terrace, sees us, and quickly retreats back inside. We're ruining the ambiance, Emma observes. Barefoot teacher and fake photographer, very off-brand for the grand view. Good. This place could use some reality. She studies me with open curiosity. What do you actually do when you're not crashing charity balls with borrowed cameras? The lie should come easily. I've been rehearsing cover stories for weeks. Freelance consultant, startup founder, something vague and believable. But sitting here with her, after watching her save someone's life with steady hands and calm authority, the performance feels impossible. I work in tech, I say carefully. Corporate job, lots of meetings, very boring. Boring enough to need an escape identity? Boring enough that sometimes I forget who I am, under the job title. Emma nods like this makes perfect sense. I had a moment like that in my first year teaching. Completely lost myself trying to be what I thought a teacher should be. Formal, strict, by the book. The kids hated it, I was miserable, and my lesson plans were trash. What changed? One of my students drew a comic strip about our class. The teacher was this robot with a briefcase for a head, and all the kids were falling asleep. She left it on my desk, probably by accident. Emma smiles at the memory. It was a wake-up call. I threw out the persona and just started being myself. Messy, weird, art-obsessed me. Everything got better. You make it sound easy. It wasn't. It was terrifying, but it was better than being a briefcase-headed robot. She looks at me directly. Who are you when you're not performing for corporate meetings? Nobody's asked me that question in years. I don't know anymore, I admit. That's why I'm here. We sit with that honesty for a while. November wind rustling through the garden. Emma's phone buzzes. She checks it and sighs. Sister asking where I disappeared to. I should probably make an appearance before she sends security. Before you go. I hesitate. Thursday. The community center lunch. Were you serious about that invitation? Completely serious. It's chaos and beautiful, and you'll probably end up serving food instead of photographing it. But yes, you should come. She finds a pen in her purse, writes an address on a napkin. Riverside Community Center. We start serving at noon, but show up early if you want to see the beautiful disaster in preparation mode. I take the napkin like it's something precious. I'll be there. Emma puts her shoes back on with visible reluctance, stands, smooths her dress. Thanks for the terrace company, Cal. You're good at this whole being human thing. You should do it more often. She walks back inside, and I'm left alone in the garden with a napkin address and the feeling that something fundamental just shifted in my world. I don't go back inside the ballroom. Instead, I sit on that stone bench for another 30 minutes, watching the city lights beyond the garden walls, turning Emma's napkin over in my hands. The smart thing would be to throw it away, walk back to my penthouse, return to my real life, forget about the woman in the burgundy dress who looks at me like I'm a person instead of a portfolio. But I fold the napkin carefully and put it in my wallet. My phone has 17 new notifications. From my mother about Thanksgiving plans. 5. From business contacts, following up on the tech summit. From women I don't know, asking about dinner or coffee or collaboration opportunities. I delete them all except my mother's. The drive home takes 20 minutes through empty downtown streets. I park in my private garage, take the elevator to the 42nd floor, and step into a penthouse that suddenly feels cavernous and cold. Everything here is curated. The furniture chosen by an interior designer who charged 6 figures. The art selected by a consultant who specializes in investment pieces. The view worth millions that I barely notice anymore. I pour myself scotch and stand at the windows, looking down at the city. Somewhere down there is a 12-year-old Honda with brake problems and a woman who saves lives in stockinged feet and teaches art to kids who can't afford sketchbooks. Somewhere down there is a version of myself that might exist if I'm brave enough to find him. My phone buzzes. Marcus checking in, making sure I got home safely. All good, I text back. Thanks for covering tonight. How was the alternative perspective? I look at the napkin on my counter, at the address written in Emma's handwriting. Different, I type. Really different. I don't sleep much that night. Instead, I sit at my laptop and research Riverside Community Center. The website is outdated, clearly built on a free template years ago and barely maintained. Half the links are broken. The photo gallery hasn't been updated since 2019. But what's there tells a story. Kids painting murals, teenagers learning photography. Art shows in a converted warehouse space with mismatched folding chairs. Emma in every third photo, covered in paint or charcoal, always smiling. The About Us page lists their mission, providing accessible arts education and community support to underserved neighborhoods in Riverside. Their annual budget is listed at $62,000. I spent more than that on my car. The Support US page has a donation button that probably hasn't processed a payment in months and a calendar of events. Thursday, community lunch, 12:02 p.m. All welcome. I add it to my calendar. Then I go through my closet, pushing past designer suits and expensive casual wear, looking for something that might be believable for a struggling photographer visiting a community center. Old jeans, plain shirt, the leather jacket. It'll have to work. At 3 a.m., I finally try to sleep, but my mind keeps returning to the garden terrace, to Emma's hands shaking after the crisis, to the way she looked at me when I admitted I didn't know who I was without the performance, to the fact that she invited me into her world without hesitation, while I'm building lies to hide mine. Thursday, I tell myself. I'll go Thursday, see the center, maybe take some photos. One afternoon, then I can go back to my real life and chalk this up to a moment of temporary insanity. But even as I think it, I know I'm lying to myself. Monday morning arrives with the kind of grey drizzle that makes downtown look like a noir film. I'm in my corner office by 7, coffee cooling on my desk, while I'm supposed to review fourth quarter projections. Reed Enterprises has 17 active projects, 8 pending acquisitions, and a board meeting on Wednesday that requires my full attention. Instead, I'm scrolling through the Riverside Community Center's social media accounts. Their Instagram has 847 followers and posts sporadically. Photos of art classes, community dinners, thank you messages from families. Emma appears in about half of them, always in the background, always working. One post from 2 weeks ago shows a mural project, teenagers painting a community garden scene on the center's exterior wall. Emma's quoted, "Art doesn't change the world, but it changes the people who change the world." The post has 32 likes. My last Instagram post, a professionally shot photo of me at a ribbon-cutting ceremony, has 43,000. My intercom buzzes. "Mr. Reed, your mother is on line 1. I consider letting it go to voicemail. But Victoria Reed doesn't call during business hours unless it's important. Put her through." "Darling, my mother's voice is crisp, efficient. Thanksgiving. We need to finalize arrangements." "Hello to you too, Mom." "Don't be cute, Callahan. The Hartwells are expecting an answer about the engagement announcement. Vivica's father wants to know if we're doing it before or after dinner." Vivica Hartwell, daughter of Gerald Hartwell, who owns half the commercial real estate in 3 states. We've been on exactly 4 dates, all of them arranged by our parents, all of them feeling like business negotiations disguised as romance. She's beautiful, accomplished, appropriate. She's also about as interested in me as I am in her. "I haven't proposed," I point out. "That's a technicality we can address this weekend. I've arranged for the family ring to be sized." A pause. "Darling, this is a good match. The Hartwells have connections that would be very beneficial for Reed Enterprises. Vivica understands how our world works." "What if I don't want someone who understands how our world works? What if I want something real?" My mother's laugh is gentle but dismissive. "Real is a luxury people like us can't afford. Your father and I learned to love each other. You and Vivica will too. You and Dad barely spoke the last 5 years of his life. We spoke when it mattered, for business, for you, for the foundation." Her voice softens slightly. "Callahan, I know this feels transactional, but marriage at this level always is. You find someone suitable, build a partnership, maintain appearances. Romance is for people without legacies to protect." Through my window, I can see the city stretching out below. 42 floors up, insulated from reality. Somewhere down there is a woman who thinks I'm a struggling photographer named Cal. "I need more time," I say. "You've had 6 months. The Hartwells won't wait forever." "Then tell them to stop waiting." "Callahan!" "I have a meeting, Mom. I'll call you later." I hang up before she can argue, which is cowardly but necessary. My assistant knocks on the door. "Sir, the development team is ready for your 10 o'clock. The Riverside project. I'd almost forgotten. 15 minutes later, I'm in the conference room with my development director and 3 architects, reviewing plans for a luxury residential complex. "The location is perfect," Director Hayes is saying, pulling up maps on the presentation screen. "Riverside neighborhood, currently underutilized, prime for redevelopment. We've identified a full city block for acquisition." The map shows streets I recognize from Emma's napkin. "What's currently on the site?" I ask, though something in my chest already knows the answer. "Mostly older commercial buildings, a few small businesses, and here," Hayes points to a building on 4th Street. "A community center, Riverside Community Center, minimal property value, operating on a shoestring budget. Acquisition should be straightforward. The room tilts slightly. Define straightforward, I hear myself say. They're month to month on their lease, buildings owned by Meridian Properties. We've already opened discussions about purchasing the entire block. Once we acquire, we offer the community center a buyout for their operations. They relocate, we demolish, we build. On the screen, architectural renderings show sleek glass towers where Emma's warehouse currently stands. Timeline? My voice sounds distant. Pending your approval, we can begin acquisition next month. Demolition by spring. First residences available in 18 months. Someone passes me the financial projections. The numbers are excellent. Market rate condos starting at 1.2 million. Projected profit in the 8-figure range. All it costs is a warehouse where kids learn to paint their dreams. I need to review this more thoroughly, I say. Table it for now. Hayes looks surprised. Sir, we're on a tight timeline. If we delay, we risk another developer moving on the property. Then we risk it. I need more time. Back in my office, I pull up the Riverside Community Center website again. Their latest newsletter mentions struggling to make rent, mentions needing new supplies, mentions hoping to serve more families next year if funding allows. They have no idea they're sitting on a demolition target. They have no idea that the struggling photographer Emma invited to lunch is the same person who could sign the papers that end everything she's built. My phone shows a new text from an unknown number. Hey Cal, it's Emma. Just confirming Thursday still works for you? Fair warning, we serve mystery casserole and the coffee's terrible, but the company's good. I stare at the message for a full minute, then I type back, I'll be there, looking forward to it. 3 dots appear. Great! Wear clothes you don't mind getting messy. We usually rope volunteers into helping. See you Thursday. I set the phone down and look at the development plan still open on my laptop. Thursday is in 3 days. I have 3 days to figure out how to be in 2 places at once. The corner office making decisions that destroy communities, and the community center pretending to be someone who wouldn't. Thursday arrives cold and bright. The kind of November morning that makes everything look sharp-edged and clear. I clear my afternoon schedule with a vague excuse about personal business. My assistant looks surprised. I never take personal time, but doesn't question it. The drive to Riverside takes 30 minutes through neighborhoods that get progressively less polished. Luxury high-rises give way to older apartments. Trendy cafes to corner stores with barred windows. Manicured parks to empty lots. 4th Street is a stretch of warehouses and small businesses barely hanging on. A laundromat with flickering lights. A bodega with produce displayed in wooden crates. A check-cashing place advertising payday loans. And at the end of the block, Riverside Community Center. The building is exactly as outdated as its website suggested. Converted warehouse. Brick facade that needs repointing. Windows that probably leak in winter. The parking lot is more pothole than pavement, but hanging across the entrance is a hand-painted banner. Hope lives here. I park next to Emma's Honda and 3 other vehicles in similar states of concerning disrepair. Inside, controlled chaos. To my left, a step team practices in what must have been a loading bay, their rhythms echoing off concrete walls. To my right, adults sit in a circle for what looks like a GED class. Straight ahead, the smell of cooking and the sound of children laughing. A woman in her 60s, with silver hair and kind eyes, approaches. You must be one of Emma's strays, she says warmly. She's always collecting people. I'm Gloria Hendricks, director of this beautiful disaster. Cal, I'm here to help with lunch. Perfect timing. We're perpetually understaffed and overfull. Emma's in the kitchen trying to make 30 pounds of donated chicken stretch for 60 people. Gloria gestures toward the back. Fair warning, she'll put you to work immediately. Hope you're ready. The kitchen is industrial-sized but clearly outdated, with equipment that probably predates me. Emma stands at a prep counter wearing jeans, a paint-stained sweatshirt, and an apron that says, I like big books and I cannot lie. She's chopping vegetables with efficient speed, hair pulled back in a messy bun, no makeup, completely different from the woman in the burgundy dress. She looks up when I enter, and her entire face lights up. Cal, You actually came. She sets down the knife, wipes her hands on her apron. I wasn't sure you'd show. This is definitely not glamorous. I'm here. What can I do? Can you chop? She gestures to a mountain of carrots. We're making stew, or attempting to. The chicken was donated by a grocery store yesterday, which means we have to use it today, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it feed more people than mathematically possible. I roll up my sleeves and start on the carrots. For the next 2 hours, I chop vegetables, stir giant pots of stew, help set up folding tables in the main hall. Emma works beside me, multitasking with the kind of efficient grace that comes from doing this regularly. A toddler runs through the kitchen chasing a plastic dinosaur. Emma scoops him up without breaking stride, redirects him to his mother, and returns to stirring without missing a beat. That's Marcus, she explains. His mom's in our job training program. He thinks the kitchen is a playground. Does this happen often? Daily, sometimes hourly. She grins. Welcome to community work. It's beautiful chaos, and occasionally actual chaos. At noon, people start arriving. Families with kids, elderly residents from nearby apartments, people who look like they haven't had a decent meal in days. Emma greets each person by name. Mrs. Chen, how's your grandson doing at State? David, did you get that job interview scheduled? Maria, your daughter's art project is still hanging in the gallery. She's so talented. I serve stew beside her, watching her transform a meal line into genuine human connection. You know everyone, I observe quietly. Most of them. We serve lunch 3 days a week, host programs most evenings. You see the same faces, you learn their stories. She ladles stew into a bowl for an elderly man. That's Mr. Patterson, retired teacher. Wife died 2 years ago. This is the only place he talks to people regularly. The man shuffles away with his food, and Emma's smile falters for just a second. We're probably going to have to close next year, she says quietly, still serving. Funding's dried up, rent keeps increasing, and we can't compete with developers who want this building. My hand freezes over the ladle. Developers? Yeah, whole neighborhoods being targeted for luxury condos. Our landlord got an offer last month, hasn't renewed our lease yet. She forces brightness back into her voice. But we're fighting. Gloria's applying for grants, we're doing fundraising events, and maybe we'll find a way. She has no idea she's talking to the developer. She has no idea the man serving stew beside her is the same person reviewing acquisition plans for this exact building. A little girl approaches the serving line, maybe 8 years old, clutching a drawing. Miss Emma, I made this for you. Emma takes the drawing, a crayon masterpiece of what might be a garden, and her entire face softens. Jasmine, this is beautiful. Can I hang it in the art room? Really? Really? You're getting so good at perspective. Keep practicing. The girl beams and runs off. Emma tucks the drawing carefully into her apron pocket, and I watch her transform a child's scribbles into validation, encouragement, hope. And I think about the architectural renderings on my laptop, the 8-figure profit projections, the glass towers that would replace this warehouse and everyone in it. I think about Gloria's kind eyes, and Mr. Patterson's loneliness, and Jasmine's crayon garden. I think about Emma, who has no idea she's invited the enemy into her kitchen. You okay? Emma asks, noticing my silence. Yeah, I lie. Just taking it all in. She smiles. It's a lot, right? But it matters. All of it matters. And that's the problem. Because she's right. Now, before I tell you what happened when Cal's two worlds started colliding, and trust me, it gets complicated fast, I need to know, are you team Cal should come clean immediately, or team sometimes protecting people means keeping secrets? Drop your vote in the comments. And if you're invested in this story, hit that like button so I know you want to see where this goes. Because what happens next changes everything. The Thursday after that first community center visit, I clear my afternoon calendar with the same vague excuse about personal matters. My assistant has stopped asking questions, though her raised eyebrow suggests she has theories. I arrive at Riverside at 11:30, half an hour before service starts. Emma's already in the kitchen, surrounded by industrial-sized pots and mountains of food in various states of preparation. She's wearing the same "I like big books" apron over jeans and a faded sweatshirt, hair twisted up with what looks like a pencil holding it in place. "Cal!" She looks genuinely happy to see me. "You came back. I wasn't sure the chaos would scare you off." "I'm harder to scare than I look." "Good, because we're feeding about 100 people today and I'm down 2 volunteers. She gestures to the prep stations. "Can you handle a knife without losing fingers?" "I think so." "Then you're on vegetables. We're making chicken stew, garlic bread, and whatever else we can cobble together from donations." She sets me up at a cutting board with carrots, celery, and onions that need chopping. The knife is professional grade but well worn, the handle smooth from years of use. Emma works beside me, moving with practiced efficiency between multiple tasks. She's browning chicken in one pot, stirring stock in another, checking the industrial ovens, all while maintaining a running commentary. The chicken was donated yesterday by Morrison's Grocery, day before expiration, so we cook it today or lose it. She flips pieces with expert precision. The bread is from Artisan Bakery on 5th. They give us day-old loaves twice a week. The vegetables are from the community garden 3 blocks over. Everything's donated? Almost everything. Our food budget is basically non-existent, so we survive on donations, partnerships, and creative problem-solving. She adds spices to the pot without measuring. Last month, someone donated 200 pounds of sweet potatoes. We made sweet potato soup, sweet potato casserole, sweet potato pie. People were seeing orange in their dreams. I laugh, chopping carrots into uniform pieces. "How do you fund this place?" The question makes her pause mid-stir. Hope and stubbornness mostly. She's trying for humor, but something heavier sits underneath. "We've got a few small grants, some private donations, fundraising events that barely cover utilities. Gloria applies for funding constantly. We charge nothing for services, so there's no income stream. We just keep the doors open and pray the money stretches." That sounds unsustainable. It is. She dumps my chopped vegetables into the stock pot. We're always 3 months from closing, always scrambling, always worried that this will be the month we can't make rent. She says it matter-of-factly, but I can see the strain around her eyes. "What happens if you can't?" "We can't close." Her voice turns fierce. "It's not an option. Mr. Patterson eats here 3 times a week because it's the only place he talks to people. Mrs. Chen's granddaughter takes art classes here because her school cut their program. Deja comes here after school because her mom works doubles, and this is safer than an empty apartment. We don't get to close." The pencil falls out of her hair. She doesn't notice. I pick it up, hand it back to her. "Thank you." She retwists her hair, secures it. "Sorry, I get intense about this place." "Don't apologize. It's one of your better qualities." She smiles, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. We work in comfortable silence for a while, the rhythm of chopping and stirring, and the industrial kitchen sounds filling the space. Through the doorway, I can hear Gloria setting up tables in the main hall, the scrape of folding chairs across concrete. "Can I ask you something?" Emma says, eventually, "Sure." "Why are you really here? This isn't exactly glamorous volunteer work. No photo opportunities, no tax write-offs, no recognition. Just a lot of hard work feeding people most of society ignores." I consider lying. Consider giving some noble answer about wanting to give back or seeking purpose. But she's looking at me with those eyes that seem to see through performance to something real underneath. "Because when I'm here, I feel like a person instead of a role," I say honestly. "And that's rarer than you'd think." She holds my gaze for a long moment. "Yeah," she says quietly. "I get that." At noon, the doors open and people stream in. The transformation is immediate. The quiet preparation gives way to beautiful chaos as families, elderly residents, and individuals fill the space. Gloria greets everyone by name, directing traffic with the calm authority of someone who's done this 1,000 times. Emma pulls off her apron, grabs a serving spoon, and positions herself behind the food line. "Cal, you're on stew duty. Big ladle, generous portions, smile like you mean it." I take my position at the industrial pot of chicken stew, ladle in hand. The first person through is an elderly woman with a cane and a brilliant smile. "Mrs. Chen." Emma's whole face lights up. "How's your grandson doing at State?" "Getting straight A's, making his grandmother very proud." Mrs. Chen speaks with a thick accent, eyes twinkling. "He says the care package you sent helped during finals. It was just cookies and encouragement. It was kindness. That matters more." I ladle stew into Mrs. Chen's bowl, and she thanks me in Mandarin before moving down the line. Next comes a young man with tattoos covering both arms and a wary expression. "David, did you get that job interview scheduled?" Emma asks. His face transforms. "Yeah, next Tuesday. Thanks for helping with my resume." "You did the work. I just fixed the formatting. You've got this." He nods, looking less wary, and holds out his bowl. The line continues. Each person receives not just food, but genuine connection. Emma knows their names, their situations, their victories and struggles. "Maria, your daughter's art project is still hanging in the gallery. She's so talented." "Mr. Patterson, you're looking sharp today. New shirt?" "Keisha, how's the GED studying going?" I'm so focused on serving and watching Emma work that I don't notice someone stopped directly in front of me until she speaks. "You gonna stand there looking pretty? Or you gonna help? Soup doesn't serve itself." I look down. A teenage girl with box braids and an expression of supreme judgment stares back at me. She's maybe 16, holding an empty bowl and radiating the kind of attitude that could cut glass. "Sorry, how much would you like?" "More than that." She eyes the small portion I started to ladle. "They ain't eating air for lunch." I add more stew. More. I add significantly more. "There you go. Don't be stingy with it." She moves down the line, then calls back without turning. "And smile more. You look like you're serving detention, not food." Emma's laughing beside me. "That's Deja. She's one of our regulars. Takes art classes here after school, helps with setup, and roasts everyone with complete impartiality. She's terrifying. She's wonderful. You'll see." Deja returns to the line 20 minutes later, this time with a younger girl in tow. "This is my sister Imani. She's shy, so don't be weird." Imani can't be more than 8, hiding partially behind Deja's leg. "Hi, Imani," I say gently. "Would you like some stew?" She nods without speaking. I ladle a kid-friendly portion, and Deja immediately intervenes. "More than that. She's 8, not a bird." "Don't drown her, though," Emma adds, grinning. "This isn't a swimming pool." I adjust the portion while Deja maintains critical supervision. "Better. You're learning." She guides Imani down the line. "Come on, let's get you some bread before Mr. Patterson takes all the good pieces." Service continues for 90 minutes. The rhythm becomes almost meditative. Ladle, smile, brief exchange, next person. My arm starts to ache from the repetition, but I don't want to stop, because each person who comes through this line is a story. The young mother with a baby on her hip who's studying for her nursing certification. The construction worker who got laid off 3 weeks ago and is living in his truck. The family of 5 who just moved here from another state, hoping for better opportunities. The veteran with PTSD who comes here because it's the only place he doesn't feel judged. Emma gives them all the same thing, food, yes, but more than that. Dignity, recognition, the basic human acknowledgement that they matter. When the last person goes through the line, I'm exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with physical labor. Emma's wiping down serving stations, looking as energized as when we started. First service shift complete. How do you feel? Like I've been doing everything wrong my entire life. She pauses mid-wipe, looks at me curiously. What do you mean? I mean, this matters. Actually matters. And I've spent most of my life chasing things that don't. Emma's quiet for a moment, then sets down her cloth. Come on, let's get terrible coffee and mediocre pie. You've earned it. Ruthie's diner sits 2 blocks from Riverside, sandwiched between a laundromat and a check-cashing place. The sign outside flickers, half the letters dark. The windows need washing. The parking lot is mostly potholes. It's perfect. Inside, the decor is aggressively 1970s. Cracked vinyl booths in faded red, Formica countertops with cigarette burns from before the smoking ban, a jukebox in the corner that probably hasn't worked since Reagan was president. But the smell of coffee and fresh-baked pie makes my mouth water. A woman in her 60s with bleached blonde hair and a name tag reading Ruthie waves at Emma from behind the counter. The usual, honey? 2 usuals today. My friend Cal's joining me. Ruthie sizes me up with the practiced eye of someone who's seen everything twice. He looks too clean to be one of your usual strays. He's learning. Give him time. We slide into a booth near the window. The vinyl makes protesting sounds under my weight. Emma doesn't seem to notice. Ruthie brings coffee without asking. Thick mugs, dark brew that smells like it could strip paint. Pie in 5 minutes. Apple today, still warm. The coffee is terrible. Burnt, bitter, probably been sitting on the burner since breakfast. I drink it anyway and find that I don't care. Emma wraps both hands around her mug, like she's absorbing its warmth. So, first official lunch service. Thoughts? Deja's going to haunt my nightmares. She's selective about who she roasts. The fact that she engaged means she likes you. That's her being nice. That's her caring. She doesn't waste energy on people who don't matter. Emma takes a sip of terrible coffee. Her mom works 2 jobs. Her dad's not in the picture. She basically raises Imani herself while maintaining a 3.8 gigapascals and taking art classes here. She's got edge because she's had to develop armor. But underneath, she's one of the best people I know. I think about the way Deja made sure Imani got enough food, the protective hand on her sister's shoulder. She's lucky to have this place. We're lucky to have her. Emma pauses. That's what I love about Riverside. It's not charity, it's community. Everyone contributes what they can. Mrs. Chen teaches Mandarin classes. Mr. Patterson tutors kids in math. Deja helps with setup and keeps everyone honest. We're not saving anyone. We're just showing up for each other. Ruthie arrives with 2 slices of apple pie, still steaming, the crust golden and flaky. On the house today, Emma fed my grandson lunch. Least I can do is feed her. Ruthie, you can't keep giving us free pie. I can do what I want. I own the place. She refills our coffee without asking. Eat before it gets cold. The pie is extraordinary. Sweet and tart and perfect. The kind of thing that makes you understand why people write poems about food. Emma takes a bite and closes her eyes in appreciation. This is magic. I don't know what Ruthie does differently, but this pie could solve world peace. It's pretty good. Pretty good? Cal, this is a religious experience in dessert form. We eat in comfortable silence for a moment, the diner's ambient noise filling the space. Someone's playing country music on a radio behind the counter. A couple in the next booth argues quietly about whether to get the transmission fixed or trade in the car. It's completely ordinary and somehow more real than any 5-star restaurant I've ever been to. Can I tell you something? Emma says eventually, of course. I don't have a lot of friends. Real ones. She traces patterns in the condensation on her water glass. Claire, my sister, she's got this huge social circle. Constant brunch dates and networking events and girls' nights. But most of those people wouldn't show up if she actually needed them. And yours would? Mrs. Chen brought me homemade dumplings when I had the flu. Deja covers my classes when I'm running late. Gloria loans me money when I'm short on rent and never mentions paying it back. Emma looks up at me. That's friendship. The showing up kind. The kind where people see you, not what you can do for them. I think about my own life. The networking events where everyone's calculating angles. The dinner parties, where conversation is really negotiation. The relationships built on mutual benefit rather than actual connection. Yeah, I say quietly. That sounds better. What about you, Cal? Where are you supposed to be? The question lands heavier than she probably intended. Where am I supposed to be? In a corner office 42 floors up, reviewing acquisition deals and maximizing shareholder value? At my mother's estate, planning an engagement to a woman I barely know. At charity galas, performing the role of eligible bachelor billionaire, or here, in a diner with cracked vinyl and terrible coffee, talking to a woman who sees me as a person instead of a portfolio. I'm figuring it out, I say. Emma nods, like this is a perfectly reasonable answer. Most people spend their whole lives trying to be somewhere else, trying to be someone else. It's exhausting. What about you? Are you where you're supposed to be? Absolutely. No hesitation. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, even if it's financially unstable and constantly stressful, and my sister thinks I'm wasting my potential. She smiles. Because I love that Mrs. Chen brings me dumplings. I love that Deja roasts me daily. I love watching kids discover they can create beautiful things. That matters more than stability. The country song on the radio shifts to something slow and melancholy. Ruthie's arguing with someone on the phone about a food delivery order. Emma's phone buzzes. She checks it, sighs. I should get back. Gloria needs help with the afternoon art class setup. She doesn't move to leave yet. Same time next Thursday? I'll be here. With your camera this time. You keep saying you're a photographer, but I've yet to see evidence. The lie sits between us. One of many I've told. Next time. I promise. I'll bring it. We split the check, despite her protests. Outside, November wind cuts through the street, carrying the smell of rain. Emma pulls her cardigan tighter. Thanks for today, for helping, for being real. Thank you for letting me be part of this. She walks back toward Riverside, and I head to my car parked 3 blocks away, where she won't see the Mercedes logo. The whole drive back to my penthouse. I'm counting down days until next Thursday. I walk Emma back to Riverside before heading to my own car, parked deliberately far enough away that she won't see it. The November wind has picked up, carrying the threat of rain. Emma hugs her cardigan close. The thin fabric, clearly insufficient for the dropping temperature. You should get a warmer coat, I say. This one's fine. It's got character. She gestures to a paint stain near the hem. See? Proof of a life well lived. Proof of a life freezing to death. I'll add warm coat to the list of things I'll buy when I win the lottery. She grins, right after fixing my car's check engine light and kitchen that doesn't require a stepladder to reach the top shelf. We reach the Riverside entrance. Through the windows, I can see Gloria setting up easels for the afternoon class. Deja's helping moving chairs with efficient precision. Emma stops at the door, turns to face me. Same time next Thursday? I'll be there. With your camera this time? You keep talking about photography, but I've yet to see you actually take a picture. The reminder of my lie stings more than it should. Next Thursday, I promise. I'll bring it. Good, because I want you to photograph the community, really see the people here, document what we're building. Her eyes are bright with the idea. We could use the photos for grant applications, fundraising materials, show people why this place matters. I'd be honored. Emma's smile could light the whole street. See you Thursday, Cal. She slips inside, immediately pulled into conversation with Gloria and Deja. Through the window, I watch her laugh at something Deja says, watch her ruffle Imani's hair, watch her belong completely to this world that has no idea who I actually am. I walk the 3 blocks to where I parked the Mercedes, hands shoved in pockets against the cold. The car feels obscene after everything I just experienced. Leather interior, climate control, technology worth more than some people's annual salary. I sit in the driver's seat and can't make myself start the engine. My phone shows 43 unread messages, business contacts, social invitations, my mother asking about Thanksgiving plans, Vivica. Wondering about the December gala, I delete them all except my mother's and drive home in silence. The penthouse feels emptier than usual when I walk in. 42 floors above the city, insulated from everything real, everything that matters. I pour scotch I don't want and stand at the windows, looking down at lights that represent lives I'll never touch, people I'll never know. Somewhere down there is a community center, holding on by hope and stubbornness. Somewhere down there is a woman who believes I'm someone I'm not, who invited me into her world without hesitation. Somewhere down there is the person I want to be. If I can figure out how to become him. My phone buzzes. A text from Emma. Thanks again for today. You're good at this. Come back anytime. I stare at the message for a full minute before responding. Thank you for letting me be part of something real. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. You are something real, Cal. Don't forget that. I set the phone down and realize I'm smiling like an idiot while standing alone in a multi-million-dollar penthouse. Next Thursday feels impossibly far away. I mark it on my calendar, block out the entire afternoon, and start counting down the days. Thanksgiving at my mother's estate feels like stepping into a magazine spread designed to showcase wealth without warmth. The dining room could seat 30, but hosts only 8. Crystal chandeliers refract light across china that costs more per plate than most people spend on groceries in a month. The centerpiece is an arrangement of imported flowers that probably required international shipping. Everything is perfect. Everything is lifeless. I'm seated between my mother and Vivica Hartwell, who looks flawless in a cream designer dress that probably costs more than Riverside's monthly budget. The duck is divine, Victoria, Vivica says, taking a delicate bite. You must give me your caterer's information. Of course, darling. Though I warn you, Marcel is booked months in advance. My mother smiles with practiced warmth. Callahan, you've barely touched your food. I'm not particularly hungry. You need to eat. You're looking thin. Across the table, Gerald Hartwell, Vivica's father, discusses market trends with 2 other businessmen whose names I've already forgotten. Their conversation is just networking disguised as dinner chat. Vivica places her hand over mine on the table. You seem distracted tonight. Just tired. Long week. Well, hopefully, you'll be more energized for the Foundation Gala in December. She lowers her voice conspiratorially. I was thinking that might be a lovely setting for an announcement. My stomach tightens. What kind of announcement? Cal? She says my name with gentle exasperation. We've been dancing around this for months. Our families are aligned. We're compatible. It makes sense on every level. Marriage should be more than making sense. Should it? My parents had an arranged introduction. They've been married 35 years. She squeezes my hand. I know you like to overthink everything. It's one of your more endearing qualities. But sometimes the logical choice is the right choice. I want to pull my hand away. Want to tell her that I don't love her, that she doesn't love me, that we're both just performing roles our families assigned. But my mother is watching with those sharp eyes that miss nothing, and Gerald Hartwell is discussing partnership opportunities with the kind of enthusiasm that comes from counting future profits. So I leave my hand where it is and feel like a coward. Dinner continues with multiple courses I barely taste. Conversation flows around me about stock portfolios and vacation homes and charity boards. Everyone's networking, even at Thanksgiving. Especially at Thanksgiving, Vivica discusses her recent trip to Milan Fashion Week. My mother mentions the spring fundraiser she's organizing. Gerald Hartwell talks about expanding his real estate empire into new markets. I'm supposed to be engaged in all of this, supposed to be planning my future, building my empire, playing the game. Instead, I'm thinking about terrible diner coffee and a woman who measures wealth in homemade dumplings and kids learning to paint their dreams. Callahan, you're doing it again. Vivica's voice pulls me back. Doing what? Disappearing. You're physically here, but mentally somewhere else entirely. She studies me with an expression that's harder to read than usual. Where do you go when you do that? The honest answer would destroy this entire performance. Just work stress. Sorry. You work too much. After we're engaged, I'll make sure you take more time for yourself. Balance is important. She says it like she's already planning our life together, arranging it like furniture in a room. I need to leave this table before I say something I can't take back. Excuse me, I need some air. I'm standing before anyone can protest, walking away from the perfectly arranged table, the imported flowers, the performance of family unity. I find myself in my father's study, the only room in this house that still feels like him rather than my mother's designer vision. Dark wood paneling, worn leather chairs, books he actually read instead of displaying. A desk covered in papers he never got to finish because the heart attack came too fast. This room hasn't been changed since he died 5 years ago. My mother tried once, and I threatened to buy my own place. She never mentioned it again. I sink into his chair and pull out my phone. 3 texts from Emma. Thanksgiving at Riverside was chaos. Fed 200 people. Gravy disaster at one point. Beautiful mess. Deja made a centerpiece out of construction paper and glitter. It's hideous, and I love it. Missing your volunteer muscles. Hope your Thanksgiving is good. I read them twice, feeling something in my chest loosen. I type back, Thanksgiving here is considerably less chaotic and significantly less perfect. Sounds like I missed out. Her response comes immediately. You did. Mrs. Chen made 7 types of dumplings. 7. It was a religious experience. How's your day going? Overcooked duck and passive-aggressive family dynamics. The usual. Ouch. Want to meet for terrible diner coffee tomorrow? My treat. I type yes before I can think better of it. 3 dots appear. 2 p.m. at Ruthie's. Fair warning, the pie might be pumpkin tomorrow. Ruthie goes seasonal. I'll suffer through it. Brave man. See you tomorrow. I'm smiling at my phone like an idiot when my mother appears in the doorway. Callahan. Our guests are waiting for dessert. I'll be there in a minute. She doesn't leave. Instead, she closes the door and takes the chair across from the desk. Who is she? Excuse me? The woman you're texting. The one who makes you smile like that. My mother's voice is gentle but firm. I'm not blind, darling. You've been somewhere else all evening. I could lie, should lie, but I'm suddenly tired of performing. Her name is Emma. She's a social worker. She teaches art to kids at a community center. And you met her how? At a charity event. We talked. She invited me to volunteer. My mother processes this information with the same analytical precision she applies to everything. Does she know who you are? She knows me as Cal, a photographer, someone struggling to figure out his life. So she doesn't know. No. Callahan. My mother leans forward. This is dangerous. You're building something based on deception. I'm building something based on being seen as a person instead of a bank account. And when she discovers the truth, because she will discover it, these things always come out. I don't know. It's the most honest answer I have. I just know that when I'm with her, I feel more like myself than I have in years. My mother is quiet for a long moment, studying me with an expression I can't quite read. Your father did something similar once, she says finally. Before we were married, he created an entire false identity to escape his family's expectations. I didn't know that. It ended badly. The woman was devastated when she learned the truth. She felt betrayed, used, made a fool of. My mother's voice softens. He regretted that deception until the day he died, said it was the most selfish thing he'd ever done. But he told you about it. You still married him. Because he came clean before things went too far. Because he learned that authentic connection requires authentic truth. She stands, smooths her dress. I can't tell you what to do, Callahan, but I can tell you that the longer you wait, the worse this will be, for both of you. She leaves me alone in my father's study, sitting in his chair, holding a phone with messages from a woman who has no idea I'm lying about everything that matters. This is unsustainable. I know this, but I'm not ready to let it go. Not yet. Friday afternoon finds me at Ruthie's at exactly 2 p.m., occupying our usual booth near the window. Emma arrives 5 minutes later, cheeks flushed from the cold, wearing a coat that's still too thin for November, but at least covers more than the cardigan. You actually came, she says, sliding into the booth across from me. I said I would. I know, but rich family Thanksgiving dinners sometimes extend into multi-day affairs. I wasn't sure you'd escape. If she only knew how desperately I needed to escape. Ruthie brings coffee without asking, along with 2 slices of pumpkin pie that smell like heaven. On the house, she says, before Emma can protest. Happy day after Thanksgiving. Try not to overthink it. Emma waits until Ruthie's gone before launching into stories. Okay, so the gravy situation. Picture this. Gloria's making gravy, right? but she's also supervising the turkey and managing the volunteers and answering questions. She adds what she thinks is flour to thicken it. What was it, actually? Powdered sugar. Emma's eyes sparkle with laughter. We had sweet gravy, like dessert-level sweet. Mr. Patterson took one bite and declared it innovative. Deja said it was proof that God has a sense of humor. We ended up ordering emergency gravy from the grocery store. What happened to the sweet gravy? Deja's idea. We mixed it with cream cheese and used it as pie topping. It was actually pretty good. She takes a bite of pumpkin pie. How was your fancy family dinner? Exactly as formal and uncomfortable as expected. Did you have to wear a tie? And a jacket, the whole performance. I'm sorry, that sounds awful. She says it with genuine sympathy, like formal family dinners are a hardship worth acknowledging. What did you eat? Duck, 5 courses, wine pairings, everything perfectly prepared and completely joyless. Duck! Emma wrinkles her nose. That feels unnecessarily fancy. Was it at least good? Honestly, I've had better food from your mystery casserole. She laughs, the sound filling the diner. Now I know you're lying. Our mystery casserole is literally whatever's about to expire mixed together. Last week it had chickpeas, sweet potatoes, and someone's donation of canned pineapple. It was an experience. Still better than fancy duck. You're being nice, but I appreciate it. She takes a sip of terrible coffee. Tell me something real about your Thanksgiving. One true thing. I consider what to share that won't reveal too much. I spent most of dinner wishing I was somewhere else. Where? Honestly, at Riverside, eating sweet gravy and mystery casserole, watching Deja roast people, helping serve food to people who actually appreciate it. Emma's quiet for a moment, studying me over her coffee mug. You're a strange photographer, Cal. How so? Most people volunteer once for the photo op and the good feeling high, then they disappear back to their real lives. She sets down her mug. But you keep showing up. And you actually mean it. Maybe I don't have much of a real life to go back to. I don't believe that, but I'm glad you're here anyway. We talk for 2 hours, long past when our coffee goes cold and Ruthie stops pretending we're not just taking up booth space. Emma tells me about Mrs. Chen's 7 types of dumplings, about Mr. Patterson's impromptu speech about gratitude that made everyone cry, about Deja's construction paper centerpiece that's now hanging in the art room like fine art. I tell her carefully edited truths about feeling disconnected from my family, about not knowing what I actually want from life, about the performance exhaustion that comes from never being authentic. At some point, the conversation shifts. Can I ask you something? Emma says, sure. Why photography? What drew you to it? The lie I've built requires an answer, but I'm tired of lying to her. Honestly, I'm not really a photographer. I mean, I have a camera, I'm learning. But I borrowed the identity more than the skill. Why? Because I wanted to be invisible, wanted to observe without being observed, wanted to be someone who blends into the background instead of always being the center of attention. Emma nods slowly. What do you do when you're not pretending to be a photographer? I work in tech. Corporate job. Very boring. Do you like it? I don't know anymore. I'm good at it. I've been doing it forever, but I don't know if that's the same as liking it. What would you do if you could do anything? The question catches me off guard. What would I do? Not run a tech empire. Not attend endless board meetings. Not perform the role of eligible billionaire bachelor. I think I'd want to do something that matters, I say slowly. Something where I could see the impact, where people mattered more than profit margins. Like what? I don't know. Maybe something like what you do. Showing up for people, building community, creating spaces where people feel seen. Emma's smiling at me with an expression I can't quite read. You know what I think? What? I think you're already doing that. Maybe not in your corporate job, but here, at Riverside, you show up, you see people. That matters. My phone buzzes. I ignore it. It buzzes again and again. You should check that, Emma says. Might be important. I pull out my phone, intending to silence it. 7 missed calls from Marcus. 3. From my mother, emergency meeting notices from my assistant, and 1 text from my CFO. Board meeting moved to today, 4 p.m., mandatory attendance, Riverside property acquisition on agenda. My blood goes cold. Cal, you okay? You just went really pale. My throat closes. I have to go. Work emergency. Oh, okay. She looks concerned, but doesn't pry. Everything all right? I don't know yet. I throw cash on the table, probably way too much, and stand. I'm sorry. I'll text you later. Cal? But I'm already leaving, pushing through the diner door into cold November air, my mind racing. They're discussing Riverside today, the acquisition I've been trying to delay, trying to find a way around. And I have no idea how to stop it without revealing everything I've been hiding. I make it to the board meeting with 5 minutes to spare, still wearing jeans instead of a suit, which earns me raised eyebrows from half the room. My mother sits at the head of the table, impeccably dressed, her expression unreadable. "Glad you could join us, Callahan," she says, with the kind of politeness that doubles as criticism. I take my seat without responding. The CFO pulls up the presentation, Vanguard Development Group, Riverside Property Acquisition, Projected Returns. My stomach turns as I see the familiar building rendered in cold architectural diagrams. As you can see, the Riverside block represents significant opportunity. The CFO clicks through slides showing profit projections. We've secured preliminary agreements with most property owners. Only a few holdouts remain. What about the community center? I ask, though I know the answer. Month-to-month lease, minimal resistance expected. We've prepared a buyout offer that should resolve any concerns. How much? $50,000, more than generous for a struggling non-profit. $50,000 to relocate everything Emma's built. Everything that matters to hundreds of people. That's not enough, I say. The room goes quiet. I'm sorry? The CFO looks confused. $50,000 isn't enough to relocate an entire community center. Their programming, their client base, everything they've built. You're offering pocket change to displace something that can't be replaced. Callahan, my mother starts. What's the projected profit on this development? The CFO hesitates. Approximately $83 million over 5 years. And we're offering them $50,000. Less than 1%. That's not generous. That's insulting. Gerald Hartwell leans forward, his expression hardening. With respect, Callahan, this is business. We're not running a charity. No, we're running a company that demolishes communities for profit while pretending we're the good guys. The room erupts in overlapping protests. Board members arguing about fiduciary responsibility, shareholder value, market realities. My mother raises her hand for silence. Callahan. A word. Outside. Now. I follow her into the hallway, bracing for the lecture. What are you doing? She asks quietly, trying to stop us from destroying something that actually matters. You're doing this for her, the social worker. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. The right thing is protecting this company and your future. No. I meet her eyes. The right thing is protecting a community that actually gives a damn about people instead of profits. And if that costs me this company, so be it. My mother studies me for a long moment. You're going to lose this vote, Callahan. The board won't back down on an $80 million project because you've developed a conscience. Then I'll find another way. There is no other way. The acquisition is already in motion. She's right, and we both know it. I return to the boardroom, sit through 40 more minutes of discussion and projections and strategic planning. When the vote comes, it's 8-1. Only I vote against the Riverside acquisition. It doesn't matter. The project moves forward. I drive straight to Riverside after the meeting, not bothering to change, not bothering to plan what I'll say. The building looks exactly the same as always. Crumbling brick, pothole parking lot, hope lives here, banner. But now I know it's temporary. Now I know that in a few months this will all be rubble and glass towers. I find Emma in the art room, cleaning paintbrushes while a handful of teenagers work on canvases. She looks up when I enter, and her smile fades when she sees my expression. Cal, what's wrong? Can we talk? Privately? She tells the students she'll be right back and follows me into the hallway. What happened? You look like someone died. I need to tell you something. The words stick in my throat. About the building, about who's buying it. Her face goes very still. You found out who the developer is? Emma, tell me. It's Vanguard Development Group. They're a subsidiary of... I can't finish. A subsidiary of what? They're part of Reed Innovations. Reed Innovations, the tech company. She's processing, her expression shifting from confusion to something harder. Wait, Reed, like Callahan Reed? The moment stretches, suspended. Emma? Are you... Oh. She steps back. Are you related to Callahan Reed? I could lie, could tell her I just work for the company, that I have no control over acquisitions. But I'm done lying to her. I am Callahan Reed. The color drains from her face. You're the billionaire CEO, the one on magazine covers, the one buying our building to tear it down. Yes. She's shaking her head, backing away like I'm something dangerous. This whole time, the photographer's story, the struggling artist, all of it. I wanted to be seen as a person, not a what? Not a billionaire destroying communities for profit. Not the exact kind of person I spend my life fighting against. Her voice is rising. You sat in my kitchen. You served food to people who were about to lose their community center because of you. You looked me in the eye and pretended to care. I do care. Emma, everything I felt... Don't. She holds up a hand. Don't you dare tell me it was real. You lied about everything. Your name, your job, your entire identity. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? Because the person I was with you, that was real. More real than I've been with anyone in years. The person you were with me doesn't exist. He was a character you invented so you could what? Scope out the property? Get insider information on how much resistance we'd put up? No, God no. I came here because I wanted to feel human for once. Because I was tired of being seen as a walking checkbook. And then I met you and what? Decided to keep lying. Decided to let me invite you into my world while you planned to destroy it. Tears are streaming down her face now. I told you things. About my life, about my work, about how scared I am of losing this place. And the whole time you knew you were the threat. I tried to stop it. I voted against the acquisition in the board meeting today. 1 vote. You get 1 vote? The board. You're the CEO. You could stop this if you wanted to. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. She's shouting now. You're one of the richest people in the world. You have all the power, and you're choosing profit over people. You're choosing to destroy what we've built here. Emma, please, get out. Let me explain. Get out! Her voice breaks. Get out of this building. Get out of my life. And do whatever the hell you want with this place. Clearly you were always going to. Students are appearing in doorways, drawn by the shouting. Deja's there, her expression murderous. Gloria's hurrying down the hall. I'm standing in the hallway of a building I'm about to demolish, facing a woman I've destroyed with my lies, surrounded by people whose lives I'm about to disrupt for profit, and I have absolutely no idea how to fix this. Emma, I said, get out! So I leave. I walk out of Riverside Community Center, past the Hope Lives Here banner, past the pothole parking lot, past everything I've come to care about. And I have no idea if I'll ever be allowed back. Now Cal's lost everything that actually mattered, while his company moves forward with destroying the one place that made him feel human. Emma knows the truth, and she's not wrong to hate him. But what happens next? Can love survive this level of betrayal, or is some damage too deep to repair? Drop a comment with your thoughts. And if this story is hitting you in the feels, hit that like button. Because what comes next will test whether redemption is even possible. The weekend after Emma learns the truth, I spend 72 hours in my penthouse office pulling apart every contract, every filing, every document related to the Vanguard development project. There has to be a way out. A loophole. Something. The files spread across my desk tell a story I already know but keep hoping will change. Vanguard Development Group acquired preliminary agreements on the entire 4th Street block 6 months ago. 12 properties, 11 willing sellers, 1 holdout. Riverside Community Center. The architectural renderings mock me from my laptop screen. Glass towers where the warehouse currently stands. Luxury retail where Mrs. Chen makes dumplings. A rooftop pool where Deja teaches her sister to paint. Progress, the board calls it. Profit, if we're being honest. My phone shows 43 missed calls. My mother, board members, Vivica. Reporters who somehow got my private number asking for comments about the mystery woman from the charity ball photos. I ignore all of them and call my CFO instead. Callahan, I was wondering when you'd reach out. The Riverside acquisition, can we pull out? Silence on the other end. Larry, can we pull out of the deal? Technically, yes. Realistically, absolutely not. Papers shuffle in the background. We've invested $40 million in preliminary costs, environmental surveys, architectural planning, legal fees, property deposits. The board approved this unanimously. Shareholders are expecting the returns we projected. What if I personally covered the losses? You're talking about $40 million in sunk costs, plus the projected profit we'd be forfeiting. That's more paper shuffling. Conservatively, $60 million. Probably closer to 80 when you factor in opportunity costs. $80 million. I have it. Barely. It would liquidate most of my personal assets, destroy my liquidity, make me vulnerable to hostile takeovers. But I have it. What would happen if I bought the property myself? Outbid the company? Larry's laugh is humorless. The board would remove you as CEO within a week. They'd call it a conflict of interest, self-dealing, corporate sabotage. You'd lose the company your father built. But Riverside would survive. Callahan, you're not seriously considering this. I'm staring at a photograph on my desk, not the official CEO portrait they use in press releases. The one I took last week with my actual camera. Emma serving soup, hair escaping her bun, laughing at something Deja said. The light catches her profile, and she looks so completely herself that my chest aches. Send me the property acquisition documents, I say. All of them. Callahan. Now, Larry, I need them today. He sighs. This is a mistake. Probably. Send them anyway. I spend Saturday reviewing contracts. Sunday morning, my lawyers arrive with documents I've requested. By Sunday evening, I understand exactly what I'm about to do and exactly what it will cost me. Everything. Monday morning, I file paperwork to purchase the entire 4th Street block under my personal name. Not through Vanguard, not through Reed Innovations, through Callahan Reed, private citizen, using funds that will essentially bankrupt me. My lawyers try to talk me out of it. My CFO threatens to quit. My mother calls and doesn't say anything for a full minute, just breathes on the other end of the line before hanging up. But by Monday evening, the offer is official. I'm bidding against my own company for property I already technically control, using personal wealth to sabotage a deal that will make my shareholders millions. It's financial suicide. It's also the only thing I can live with. Tuesday, the board calls an emergency meeting. I don't attend. Instead, I sit in my father's study with a glass of scotch I still don't want, waiting for the inevitable. The call comes at 4:47 p.m. The board has voted to remove you as CEO of Reed Innovations, effective immediately. Your personal acquisition bid is being reviewed by legal. You'll be hearing from our attorneys. I hang up without responding. 28 years old, no company, no family support, no future in the world I was raised to inhabit. But somewhere on 4th Street, a community center is still standing. The next 3 weeks exist in a strange suspended reality where everything is falling apart and nothing has crashed yet. I'm no longer CEO, but the transition takes time. Board meetings I'm not invited to, strategy sessions that happen without me. My corner office already assigned to someone else, while I'm still technically employed. My mother stops answering my calls. Vivica sends a text. I hope she was worth it. I don't respond because the honest answer would be cruel, but every Thursday, I show up at Riverside. I bought a real camera, expensive equipment, professional lenses, the kind of gear that makes the borrowed identity more believable. I spend evenings watching YouTube tutorials, learning composition and lighting and how to capture moments instead of just recording them. The first Thursday after the board removes me, I arrive with a camera and no idea if I'm welcome. Gloria answers the door, takes one look at me, and pulls me into a hug that smells like coffee and determination. Emma told me everything about who you are, about what you tried to do in that board meeting. She pulls back, studying my face. You're an idiot for lying to her. But you're our idiot now. Get in here. Inside, the community center hums with its usual controlled chaos. Step team, practicing, GED students, studying, the smell of lunch cooking. Emma's in the kitchen, wearing different apron. This one says eat a tea, drink and be scary with a Halloween theme, chopping vegetables with focused intensity. She looks up when I enter, and something complicated crosses her face. You came back. I said I would. You also said you were a struggling photographer, so forgive me if I don't take your word as gospel. But there's no real heat in it, just exhaustion. Fair point. We work in silence for a while, the rhythm familiar even if everything else has changed. Finally, Emma sets down her knife. Gloria told me what you tried to do, the board vote. It didn't work. You still tried. That matters. She's quiet for a moment. I'm still angry at you, for the lying, for making me care about someone who didn't exist. I existed. I exist, just under a different name with a much worse backstory. Billionaire CEO is a worse backstory? When you're trying to be seen as human instead of a bank account? Yeah. Emma almost smiles. Almost. Take pictures today, she says. Real ones. Of the people here. I want to remember this place exactly as it is, before. She doesn't finish, but we both know what she means. Before it's gone. So I photograph everything. Mrs. Chen teaching Mandarin to a group of teenagers, her hands moving expressively as she explains tones. Mr. Patterson tutoring a young girl in algebra, his patience infinite as he works through the same problem for the third time. Deja and Imani painting a mural together, Deja's critical eye softening when she looks at her sister's work. Gloria in her office, surrounded by grant applications and prayer, still fighting for funding that will probably never come. And Emma, everywhere, Emma, serving food, wiping paint off a toddler's face, sitting beside someone who's crying, laughing at Deja's latest roast, being exactly who she is in every single moment. I take hundreds of photos over the following weeks, print them, frame them, hang them on Riverside's walls. A gallery, Emma says when she sees what I've done. You made a gallery of us. You're worth documenting. She looks at the photos, her community captured in black and white and color, every face treated with dignity, every moment honored. These are beautiful, Cal. They're honest. That's all I know how to do anymore. Between Thursdays, I learn things about Emma I didn't know before. She's afraid of birds because a pigeon attacked her for a sandwich when she was 6. She calls them tiny dinosaurs with terrible attitudes. She wanted to be a dancer as a kid, but grew too tall too fast and couldn't afford lessons anyway. She reads romance novels before bed, the trashier the better, because she believes in happy endings even when life suggests otherwise. She hates mornings but loves sunrise. Will wake up early just to watch the sky change colors, then complain about being awake the rest of the day. She knows the names of everyone who comes through Riverside's doors, their birthdays, their struggles, their small victories, and every week, when I leave, she says, "See you next Thursday," like she's still deciding whether to mean it. I learn things about myself too, that I'm capable of making actual friends. Mr. Patterson and I talk photography and chess. Deja roasts me with increasing creativity and decreasing mercy. Mrs. Chen teaches me to make dumplings that fall apart, but taste right. That I can do physical work without resenting it, setting up tables, cleaning kitchens, serving food until my arms ache. That wealth means nothing compared to watching someone's face light up because you remembered they take their coffee with 3 sugars. I tell Emma carefully edited versions of my life, about family pressure and arranged expectations, about not knowing who I am without the role I've been assigned, about the performance exhaustion that comes from never being real. I don't tell her about the legal battles, about my lawyers fighting to keep the property purchase from being invalidated, about the board trying to sue me for breach of fiduciary duty. I don't tell her that every Thursday might be the last one, that the demolition timeline is still active, that I'm running out of time and options and money. This is borrowed time, and I know it. But for a few hours every Thursday, I get to pretend that the camera in my hands is my real profession, that Cal is my real name, that the woman laughing at Deja's commentary might someday forgive me. It's the most honest dishonesty I've ever practiced. 2 weeks before Christmas, Emma mentions the winter market happening downtown. It's overpriced and touristy, and the hot chocolate costs $8, but the lights are pretty, and I haven't been in years. Want to go? It's not officially a date. We're both very careful not to call it that. But when I pick her up on Saturday evening, she's wearing a dress instead of jeans, and her hair is down instead of pulled back, and she smiles when she sees me in a way that makes my chest tight. The winter market transforms the downtown square into something out of a holiday movie. String lights everywhere, wooden vendor stalls selling handmade goods, the smell of roasted chestnuts and cinnamon. An ice rink occupies the center, skaters circling to piped-in classical music. Emma stops to watch them, her breath clouding in the December cold. I always wanted to learn to skate, she says. Never had the money for lessons. We could try now. The rink's open to everyone. And humiliate myself publicly, hard pass. But she's smiling. We walk through the vendor stalls. Emma stops at each one, admiring handmade ornaments and artisan soaps and scarves knitted by local craftspeople. Look at these. She's holding a tiny ceramic ornament shaped like a camera. It's perfect for Deja. She's been practicing photography. Since when? Since she saw your work on the walls. Asked if she could borrow a camera to try it herself. Emma's eyes are bright. I bought her a cheap digital one with program funds. She's been documenting everything. The kid has an eye. She buys the camera ornament. Then, a book-shaped one for Gloria, a paintbrush for Imani, a tiny dumpling for Mrs. Chen. By the time we're done, she's carrying a bag full of ornaments and smiling like she's given herself gifts instead of buying them for others. What about you? I ask, don't you want anything? I have what I want, people to give things to. That's enough. We get the overpriced hot chocolate. She's right, it's $8 and tastes like chocolate-flavored water, and find a bench near the ice rink. Emma wraps both hands around her cup, watching the skaters. Thank you for this, she says quietly. For overpriced chocolate and tourist traps. For showing up. For still being here, even though I've been. She searches for the word. Complicated. You've been honest. That's not complicated. That's brave. I'm still angry about the lying. About the deception. You should be. But I understand why you did it. Or I'm trying to. She takes a sip of terrible hot chocolate. Everyone sees the job title or the degree or the role. Nobody sees the actual person underneath. It's exhausting. Yeah. So I get why you wanted to be someone else. I just wish you'd trusted me enough to tell me the truth before I had to discover it in the worst possible way. The guilt sits heavy in my chest. I was going to tell you. I tried to tell you so many times, but every time I got close, I'd think about losing you and I'd chicken out. You lost me anyway. I know. We sit in silence, watching skaters circle the rink. A child falls, laughing, and their parent helps them up. There's something I need to tell you, I say before I lose the courage. Emma sets down her hot chocolate, giving me her full attention. About the building, about what's going to happen. Cal, please, let me say this. I take a breath. The board is moving forward with the Riverside acquisition regardless of my objections. They have the authority, the votes, the timeline. I know, Gloria told me. But I'm trying to find a way to stop it. I've been working with lawyers, looking for loopholes. Anything that could delay or prevent the demolition. Why? You already lost your company. What else is there to sacrifice? Everything, I think, but I don't say it. Because it matters. You matter. What you've built there matters more than profit margins and shareholder returns. Emma's eyes are shining with tears she won't let fall. You can't save it, Cal. We both know that. The board has too much power, too much money, too much momentum. I have to try. Why? For me? For some misplaced sense of guilt. You can't fix this by playing hero. I'm not trying to play hero. I'm trying to do the right thing, finally, after months of doing everything wrong. A snowflake lands on Emma's nose. She brushes it away absently. There's something I need to tell you too, she says. My stomach tightens. I've been offered a job. National non-profit organization based in DC. They want me to direct their arts education program. It's 3 times what I make now. Full benefits. Actual career advancement. That's amazing. You should take it. It would mean leaving Riverside. Leaving everyone here. Emma, I told them no. She's looking at her hands. I can't leave. Not when everything's falling apart. Not when people need me. They'll need you whether you're here or in DC, and you deserve the opportunity. What I deserve is to stay with my community. She meets my eyes. But if Riverside closes anyway, if the building gets demolished and everyone scatters, then what am I staying for? The question hangs between us, unanswered. Another snowflake falls, then another. The market begins to glow under string lights and gentle snow. Cal, there's something I need to tell you. My heart stops. I forgive you, for the lying, for the deception, for all of it. Her voice breaks. I hate that I forgive you, but I do, because I understand, because you showed up even when it cost you everything, because you're trying, even when trying seems impossible. I don't know what to say to that. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust, and I don't know if I can trust you again. I don't know if we can build something real on the foundation of lies. I understand. Do you? Because I need you to understand that every time you say something, part of me wonders if it's true. Every time you make a promise, I question if you'll keep it. That's what deception costs. It destroys the ability to believe. She's right, about all of it. What if I told you that every moment with you has been the most honest I've ever been in my life? That stripping away the CEO title and the family name and the performance revealed who I actually am underneath? I'd say that person should have existed from the beginning. Fair. We finish our terrible hot chocolate as snow continues to fall, transforming the market into something magical and temporary. Emma shivers. I give her my jacket without asking. You're going to freeze, she protests. I'll survive. She pulls the jacket tighter, and I try not to think about how right that looks. Thank you for tonight, she says as we walk back to the car. For the market, for being honest, for trying. Thank you for forgiving me, even if you can't trust me yet. Yet implies there's hope for eventually. Is there? Emma's quiet for a long moment, her breath clouding in the December air. I don't know. Ask me when this is all over. When I know whether you're someone who keeps fighting or someone who gives up when things get hard. I'm not giving up. Then prove it. December 23rd arrives cold and relentless. I'm in my home office at 6 a.m., surrounded by legal documents and property contracts, trying to find something I've missed. Some angle, some possibility. My lawyers filed an injunction against the demolition, but it's a delaying tactic at best. The judge will rule after the holidays, and everyone knows which way that ruling will go. Marcus calls at 7. Sir, we have a problem. What now? Page 6 just published something. You need to see it. He sends the link. The headline makes my blood run cold. Billionaire and the camera. Callahan Reed's secret identity exposed. The article is thorough, devastating, complete with photos. Me at the charity ball wearing the photographer's shirt. Me and Emma in the garden having our first conversation. The handshake, the lingering look. Clear shots of my face, clear shots of hers. The caption reads, Reed Innovations CEO Callahan Reed caught masquerading as event photographer to pursue intimate conversation with unidentified woman. Sources close. To the family suggest this mystery romance may have influenced his controversial decision to oppose the Riverside Development Project, leading to his removal as CEO. They've connected everything: the charity ball, the identity deception, the board conflict, my opposition to the Riverside acquisition, and they've published Emma's face for the world to see. My phone explodes. 17 missed calls in 3 minutes. My mother, board members, Vivica, reporters from every major outlet requesting comments. Text from Vivica: I hope she was worth destroying everything for. Text from my mother: we need to talk, now. Text from Larry: the board is furious. They're accelerating the legal action. And then the one that makes my heart stop. Text from Emma: please tell me that article is fake. Please tell me you're not Callahan Reed. I try calling her, voicemail. I text: can we talk? I can explain everything. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Her response: no. Another message: I looked you up. I read about Vanguard Development, about the 4th Street project. My hands are shaking. Emma: you're the one buying our building. You're the one who's going to destroy Riverside. Me: Emma, please, let me explain in person. Emma: explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That every moment we spent together was you doing reconnaissance on the property you're planning to demolish? Me: it wasn't like that. I swear to God it wasn't like that. Emma: you swore you were a photographer named Cal. Forgive me if I don't trust your oaths anymore. Me: every moment with you was real. Everything I felt was real. The 3 dots appear and stay there for what feels like an eternity. Emma: was any of it real? Or was this just you playing dress-up while you figured out how much resistance we'd put up? Me: I voted against the acquisition. I tried to stop it. Emma: 1 vote. You get 1 vote out of how many? Me: I'm trying to find a way to save Riverside. I'm working with lawyers. Emma: you're a billionaire. If you wanted to save it, you could. You're choosing not to. Me: it's not that simple. Emma: it is exactly that simple. You have all the money and power in the world, and you're using it to destroy what we've built, while pretending to care, while making me believe you are someone you're not. Me: Emma, please. Emma: don't contact me again, and do whatever the hell you want with the building. Clearly you were always going to. The messages stop. When I try to call, it goes straight to voicemail. I drive to Riverside, but the doors are locked. Gloria's car isn't in the lot. I go to Ruthie's diner. Emma's not there. I wait outside her apartment building, an address I got from public records, which feels invasive even in my desperation. But she doesn't come home, or she's already home and refusing to see me. By evening, I'm back in my penthouse, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. It doesn't. The article has gone viral. Entertainment news picking it up. Social media dissecting every detail. Speculation about the mystery woman and whether I sabotaged my own company for love. Someone identified Emma from the photos. Her name is now public. Her job, her connection to Riverside, the community center she loves, is being exposed alongside our relationship. I did this. My lies, my deception, my desperate attempt to be someone else led directly to this moment. And I have absolutely no idea how to fix it. Christmas Eve, I spend alone in my penthouse. My mother called once. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail I haven't listened to. Vivica sent a final text. Merry Christmas. I hope she was worth it. I don't respond because the answer is yes, and that would be cruel. The only person I want to talk to won't answer my calls. I've tried texting Emma 17 times, apologizing, explaining, begging for a chance to talk in person. Every message goes unanswered. On Christmas morning, I wake to find she's finally responded. Emma, stop texting me. Me, I just want to explain. Emma, explain what? That you're Callahan Reed, billionaire CEO? That you've been lying about your entire identity for months? That the company you ran is about to destroy everything I love? Me, I tried to stop it. I voted against the acquisition. I'm working with lawyers to find a way. Emma, you voted against it. 1 vote out of 9. Then you just gave up? Me, I didn't give up. The board has the authority. Emma, you're the CEO. Me, not anymore. They removed me. The 3 dots stay there for a long time. Emma, what? Me, the board voted to remove me as CEO because I opposed the Riverside acquisition. I lost the company. Emma, when? Me, 2 weeks ago. More dots. Emma, why didn't you tell me? Me, because I was trying to fix it first, trying to find a way to save Riverside before admitting I'd failed. Emma, so you just kept lying, kept pretending everything was fine while your world fell apart. Me, I didn't want you to feel responsible. Emma, I am responsible. You lost your company because of me. Me, I lost my company because I chose people over profit, because I chose doing the right thing over doing the easy thing, because I chose you. The dots appear and disappear multiple times. Emma, you shouldn't have chosen me. You should have been honest from the beginning instead of building everything on lies. Me, you're right about all of it. I should have told you who I was the night we met. I should have trusted you with the truth instead of hiding behind a fake identity. Emma, why didn't you? Me, because every relationship I've ever had ended the moment someone Googled my name and saw the net worth before they saw me. Because I wanted one connection that was real. Because I was tired of being a portfolio instead of a person. Emma, so you thought lying was better? Me, I thought being honest about who I am underneath was better than being honest about what I'm worth. I was wrong. I see that now. The response takes 5 minutes. Emma, I can't do this right now. My community is about to lose everything, and I'm supposed to what? Feel sorry for the billionaire who lied his way into my life? Me, no. You're supposed to know that I'm trying to save Riverside, that I've been working every angle, burning every bridge, sacrificing everything to find a way to stop the demolition. Emma, and? Have you found a way? The honest answer destroys me. Me, not yet. Emma, then it doesn't matter. All the apologies and explanations and sacrifices don't matter if Riverside still gets demolished. She's right. Me, I know, but I'm not giving up. Emma, why not? You've already lost everything. Your company, your family's respect, your entire identity. Why keep fighting for a community center you visited a handful of times? Me, because it matters, because you matter. Because watching you serve soup and hug crying mothers and make Deja laugh showed me what actually matters in life. And I'll be damned if I let that get destroyed for luxury condos. The dots appear and stay there forever. Emma, I don't know what to do with that. Me, you don't have to do anything. Just know that I'm fighting for this, for Riverside, for you, for the chance that someday you might forgive me. Emma, forgiveness requires trust, and I don't know if I can trust you again. Me, I understand. Emma, do you? Because trust isn't just about telling the truth now. It's about believing someone will tell the truth always. And you proved you're capable of lying to my face for months. The accusation hurts because it's accurate. Me, I can't change what I did. I can only show you who I am now, who I want to be. Emma, and who's that? Me, someone who shows up, someone who fights for what matters, someone who chooses people over profit, even when it costs everything. Her response takes so long I think she stopped reading. Emma, prove it. Me, how? Emma, save Riverside. Find a way to stop the demolition. Show me that all these pretty words translate into actual action. Me, I'm trying. Emma, try harder. Because right now, you're just a rich guy who got bored playing poor and is about to destroy a community he pretended to care about. The words hit like physical blows. Me, is that really what you think? Emma, I don't know what to think anymore. You lied about everything. How am I supposed to know what's real? Fair question. Devastating, but fair. Me, the person I was with you, that was real. More real than I've been with anyone in years. Emma, that person was named Cal and struggled to pay rent and took photos for a living. That person doesn't exist. Me, that person is exactly who I am underneath the money and the title and the family name. You saw the real me, you just didn't know his legal name. The dots appear and disappear for minutes. Finally, I need time to process, to think, to figure out if I can separate who you pretended to be from who you actually are. Me, take all the time you need. I'll be here. Emma, will you? Or will you disappear back to your penthouse and your billionaire life and forget about the social worker who was stupid enough to believe your lies? Me, I'm not going anywhere. I promise. Emma, don't make promises you can't keep. Me, this one I can keep. I'll be here, fighting for Riverside, fighting for a chance to earn your trust back, fighting for as long as it takes. The response is just 3 words. Emma, prove it, Cal. And then she goes silent. I sit with my phone for hours hoping for another message, some sign that she's willing to talk, to listen, to consider that maybe the lies don't erase everything else. But the silence continues. Outside my window, the city celebrates Christmas, lights and joy, and families together. Inside my penthouse, I'm alone with the consequences of every choice that brought me here. And somewhere across the city, a woman I love is processing the fact that everything she thought she knew about me was carefully constructed fiction. I open my laptop and pull up the property documents again. If Emma wants proof, I'll give her proof. I'll find a way to save Riverside, or die trying. December 26th brings an emergency board meeting I'm not invited to attend. But I show up anyway, walking into the conference room like I still belong there. 8 faces turn toward me with expressions ranging from annoyance to outright hostility. My mother sits at the head of the table, perfectly composed. Callahan, this is a closed meeting. I'm aware. I'm here anyway. Gerald Hartwell leans back in his chair. You have no authority to be here. You're no longer CEO. I'm still a major shareholder, and I have information relevant to the Riverside acquisition. We're not discussing Riverside today, my mother says. Then what are we discussing? The CFO clears his throat. Your personal acquisition attempt. Legal has reviewed it. We're moving forward with a lawsuit for breach of fiduciary duty, corporate sabotage, and conflict of interest. The words land, but don't surprise me. I've been expecting this. On what grounds? On the grounds that you used insider information and corporate resources to interfere with a board-approved project for personal gain. Personal gain? I'm buying the property to prevent its demolition. There's no profit motive. The profit motive is irrelevant. You sabotaged a deal worth $80 million to the company. Gerald's voice is ice cold. Your relationship with the social worker clouded your judgment and cost shareholders significant returns. My judgment was perfectly clear. I chose to oppose a project that destroys a community for luxury development. That's not your choice to make anymore, my mother says quietly. The board voted. The project moves forward. Your personal feelings don't change that. I look around the table at people I've worked with for years. People my father trusted. People who are now treating me like a threat. I'm cancelling the Vanguard development project, I say. The room erupts. You can't. You have no authority. This is exactly why we removed you. I raise my voice over the chaos. I'm personally buying the 4th Street block, all 12 properties. I'm cancelling the development and preserving the existing structures. Silence. Then my mother. With what money, Callahan? My personal assets. I'll liquidate investments, sell properties, whatever it takes. The CFO pulls up spreadsheets. Even if you liquidate everything, you're looking at maybe $70 million in available capital. The block is valued at $85 million minimum. Then, I'll find financing. No bank will loan you that kind of money for a project with no return on investment. Gerald's smile is cruel. You're trying to save a community center with money you don't have to prevent a development you can't stop. It's financial suicide. It's the right thing to do. The right thing is protecting this company and your future, my mother says. Her voice is gentle, which somehow makes it worse. Callahan, I understand you have feelings for this woman, but you can't throw away everything your father built for a relationship based on lies. This isn't about Emma. This is about doing business that doesn't destroy communities for profit. Business is profit, that's the entire point. No, the point of business should be creating value that matters, and luxury condos don't matter more than a community center serving hundreds of families. My mother stands. This meeting is over. Callahan, leave. The board will vote on the lawsuit without you. Mother, leave. Now. I look at her across the conference table, and for a moment, I see my father in her expression. The same determination, the same pragmatism. But Dad would have understood. He would have seen that some things matter more than quarterly returns. Vote however you want, I say. Sue me for whatever you think I've done wrong, but I'm saving that building. I walk out before they can respond. In the parking garage, I sit in my car and pull up my bank accounts. 68 million in available assets. Maybe 70 if I sell everything quickly. 15 million. Short of what I need. I make calls. Banks, investment firms, private lenders. Everyone says the same thing. Too risky. No collateral, insufficient return projection. By evening, I'm out of options. I drive to Riverside, even though I know Emma won't be there. The building sits dark, except for security lights. Through the windows, I can see the photo gallery I created. Faces of a community that has no idea their home is about to be demolished. Mrs. Chen teaching Mandarin. Mr. Patterson tutoring algebra. Deja painting with fierce concentration. Emma serving soup with that smile that makes everything better. My phone rings. My mother. Callahan. The board voted. They're moving forward with the lawsuit. Legal will contact you tomorrow with details. I expected that. They're also accelerating the Riverside timeline. Demolition scheduled for January 15th. My stomach drops. That's 3 weeks. They want this resolved quickly, before you can find more ways to interfere. Her voice softens. Darling, please, walk away from this. You've lost the company. Don't lose everything else fighting a battle you can't win. I can win. I just need more time. You don't have more time, and you don't have the resources. Accept reality. Reality is that building matters more than profit margins, and I'm not giving up. Even if it bankrupts you? Even then. My mother sighs. You're just like your father, stubborn and idealistic and completely impractical. You say that like it's a bad thing. It got him killed, Callahan, working himself to death for a company that replaced him within a week. Silence. I don't want to watch you destroy yourself for a cause that won't remember your name. Emma will remember. Will she? Or will she remember the man who lied to her while her world burned down? The question hits harder than any board vote. I have to try, Mom. I know. That's what scares me. She hangs up. I sit in my car outside Riverside Community Center, staring at a building I don't have the money to save, fighting for a woman who won't speak to me, trying to stop a demolition 3 weeks away, and I have absolutely no idea what to do next. December 29th, I make a decision that will either save everything or destroy me completely. I call every contact I have, every business connection, every investor, every person who owes me favors. I need $15 million, short-term loan, will repay with interest within 2 years. Most laugh. Some hang up. A few listen before saying no. By December 30th, I'm down to one option. Marcus finds me in my father's study at midnight. Sir, there's someone here to see you. I'm not taking visitors. It's Christina Chen. She says it's urgent. Christina Chen, one of my father's oldest friends, venture capitalist, brilliant investor, someone who disappeared from our lives after Dad died because she couldn't stand my mother's business philosophy. She's standing in my foyer wearing a cashmere coat and an expression I can't read. Christina, It's been a while. 5 years. Since your father's funeral. She looks around the penthouse. He would have hated this place. Too sterile, not enough books. He would have hated a lot of my choices. Hence, why I'm here. She hands me a folder. I've been watching what you're doing. The Riverside situation. Your opposition to the board. The personal acquisition attempt. How did you... I still have friends at Reed Innovations. They talk. She opens the folder. This is a loan agreement. $15 million, interest-free, repayment terms whenever you're financially stable again. I stare at the document. Why? Because your father would have done the same thing. Because standing up to the board takes guts most people don't have. Because that community center matters more than another luxury development. She smiles. And because I like watching Victoria's careful plans fall apart. This is $15 million. I'm aware. I signed the check. I might not be able to pay you back for years. Then you'll owe me for years. I'm patient. Christina picks up a photo from the side table, me and my father at my college graduation. He would be proud of you, Callahan, for fighting for something that matters, for choosing people over profit. My throat tightens. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Saving the building is step one. Earning that woman's forgiveness is considerably harder. I know. Good. Then get to work. She leaves, and I'm holding a check for $15 million and a chance to actually save Riverside. January 2nd, my lawyers file the purchase documents. Callahan Reed, private citizen, purchasing the entire 4th Street block for $85 million. Funded through personal assets and private loan, no corporate backing. No shareholder approval required. By January 3rd, the sale is finalized. I own the building. I own 12 properties that were about to become luxury condos. And I have no idea what to do with any of them except ensure Riverside survives. My lawyers draft a lease agreement. Riverside Community Center, $1 per year, in perpetuity. Terms include building maintenance fund, programming budget, expansion options. Everything I can think of to ensure they never face displacement again. I don't sign my name to the donation, just list it as anonymous donor in honor of those who show up. Because Emma taught me that showing up matters more than getting credit. January 4th, Gloria receives the documents. I know because she calls me, crying so hard I can barely understand her. Someone bought the building, anonymous donor. They're letting us stay for $1 a year, forever. We're saved. Callahan, we're saved. That's wonderful, Gloria. Did you have anything to do with this? I tried to help, but it sounds like someone else came through. It's not technically a lie. Whoever it is, they're an angel, an absolute angel. She's still crying. I have to tell everyone. I have to call Emma. She hangs up, and I sit with the phone in my hand, imagining Emma's face when she hears the news. Will she be happy? Relieved? Suspicious about the timing? Will she wonder if I had something to do with it? My phone buzzes. Text from Emma. Gloria just told me about the building. Someone saved Riverside. Was it you? I stare at the message for a long time. The honest answer is yes. The safe answer is no. I type, I tried to help however I could. Emma, that's not an answer. Me, the building is saved. That's what matters. Emma, Callahan, did you buy the building? The use of my full name instead of Cal feels like distance. Me, does it matter who bought it if Riverside survives? Emma, it matters if you bankrupted yourself to save something you visited a handful of times. Me, it wasn't a handful of times, it was every Thursday for months. It was learning that community matters more than profit. It was you showing me what actually matters in life. The dots appear and stay there forever. Emma, you bought the building. Me, yes. Emma, with what money? You lost your company. Me, personal assets, a loan from an old friend, everything I had. Emma, everything? Me, everything that matters. The response takes 10 minutes. Emma, You're an idiot. Me, probably. Emma, a complete, absolute idiot who just sacrificed his entire fortune for a community center. Me, it was the right thing to do. Emma, was it? Or was it guilt? Or some misplaced sense of heroism? Or trying to buy forgiveness? The question stings. Me, it was all of those things. And it was also just, right. Riverside deserves to survive. You deserve to not lose everything you've built. That matters more than my bank account. Emma, I don't know what to do with this information. Me, you don't have to do anything. Just know that Riverside is safe. You're safe. And I'll do everything I can to make sure it stays that way. The dots appear and disappear multiple times. Finally, we need to talk, in person. Meet me at Ruthie's tomorrow, 2 p.m. My heart stops. Me, I'll be there. Emma, don't be late. And Cal? Me, yeah? Emma, thank you for saving the building, even if I'm still furious at you for everything else. It's not forgiveness, but it's something. January 15th arrives with the kind of cold that makes the city feel brittle. I'm officially no longer CEO of Reed Innovations. The transition completed, my corner office emptied, my name removed from the executive directory. Victoria Reed, my mother, has been installed as interim CEO while the board searches for permanent replacement. She hasn't spoken to me since the purchase went through. Vivica published an interview in Business Weekly about partnership and aligned values, and how she's moving forward with someone who shares her vision. Translation: she's already seeing someone new, someone more appropriate, someone who didn't blow up his life for a community center. I've lost the company my father built, lost my family's respect, lost my position in the social circles I was raised to inhabit. But at 2 p.m. on January 15th, I'm standing across the street from Riverside Community Center, watching something I didn't lose. The doors open. People stream out. Gloria, Deja, Mrs. Chen, Mr. Patterson, dozens of others, all carrying champagne bottles and plastic cups. Someone unfurls a banner. Riverside survives. Gloria's crying. Mrs. Chen is laughing. Deja's doing what can only be described as a victory dance, while Imani records it on a phone. And Emma's in the center of it all, hugging everyone, her smile so bright it hurts to look at. They're celebrating. Their home is safe. Their community preserved. I did that. It cost me everything, but I did that. Emma looks up, scanning the crowd. For a moment, I think she's looking for me. But then someone hands her champagne, and she's pulled back into the celebration, and I realize she's exactly where she belongs. With her people, her community, the life she built without me. I turn to leave, pull my coat tighter against the January wind. Cal! The voice stops me cold. I turn. Emma's running across the street, no jacket despite the freezing temperature, breath clouding in the air. She stops 3 feet away, both of us breathing hard. You came, she says. I wanted to see everyone celebrate. From across the street, like some kind of creepy observer. I didn't think I'd be welcome inside. Emma studies my face for a long moment. You bought the building. I did. Gloria's lawyer told her everything. The anonymous donor, the lease terms, the trust fund for maintenance and programming, the timing. Her eyes are shining. It was you. All of it. Riverside deserved to survive. It bankrupted you. I'll rebuild. Will you? She steps closer. Because from what I read, you lost your company, your family's support, your entire life, for a building you visited a handful of Thursdays. It wasn't a handful, and it wasn't just the building. Emma's quiet, waiting. It was you, I say, watching you show up for people, watching you build something that actually matters, watching you prove that community is worth more than profit margins. You changed everything. She's crying now, tears streaming down her face in the January cold. You're an idiot, a complete, absolute idiot. You've mentioned that. You destroyed your life to save my community center. Our community center. I was part of it too, even if I came in under false pretenses. Emma laughs through tears. False pretenses. That's one way to describe months of elaborate lies. I know. I'm sorry. For all of it. I know you are. She steps closer, close enough that I can see the gold flecks in her eyes. I'm still angry at you. For the lying. For making me care about someone who didn't exist. For all of it. I understand. But I'm also grateful. And confused. And I don't know what to do with the fact that you sacrificed everything for me. Not for you. For what's right. Cal. She says my name, the name I gave her, not the one I was born with, and it sounds like forgiveness and accusation and hope all mixed together. Is there any chance you can forgive me? The question makes no sense. Forgive you for what? For judging you, for not seeing how hard you were trying, for being so angry I couldn't see the sacrifice until it was already done. Emma, you have nothing to apologize for. I lied to you. You had every right to be angry. Maybe, but I should have listened when you tried to explain. Should have given you a chance before shutting you out completely. She's close enough to touch now, close enough that I can smell her shampoo and see the freckles across her nose. So, what do we do now? I ask. I don't know. I'm still figuring out if I can trust you again, if we can build something real on the foundation of lies. I understand. But I want to try, if you're willing to be patient while I figure it out. My heart is beating so fast it's hard to breathe. I'll wait as long as it takes. She's opening her mouth to respond when... Emma! Gloria's voice cuts through the moment. Get inside, now. We both turn. Gloria's standing in Riverside's doorway, phone to her ear, her expression stricken. Something's wrong. We run back across the street. Inside, the celebration has stopped. Everyone's crowded around Gloria's phone, faces shifting from joy to confusion to horror. What happened? Emma demands. Gloria looks at me, then at Emma, her expression devastated. The Vanguard board just issued a statement. My stomach drops. What kind of statement? Gloria hands me her phone. The headline makes everything inside me go cold. Reed Innovations sues former CEO for corporate sabotage, demands property forfeiture. I scroll through the article with shaking hands. The board of Reed Innovations has filed suit against former CEO Callahan Reed for breach of fiduciary duty, corporate sabotage, and fraudulent property acquisition. The lawsuit demands Reed forfeit the recently purchased 4th Street properties, alleges he used insider information and corporate resources for personal gain, and seeks damages in excess of $100 million. Emma's reading over my shoulder. What does this mean? I keep reading. In a statement, Interim CEO Victoria Reed said, "We deeply regret that. Personal relationships clouded Mr. Reed's professional judgment. The board has a fiduciary duty to shareholders and will pursue all legal remedies to recover damages from this unauthorized interference." My mother, publicly condemning my actions, demanding I return the property. The article continues. Legal experts suggest Reed Innovations has a strong case. If successful, the lawsuit would require Callahan Reed to return the properties to company control, effectively reinstating the original Vanguard development plans. Emma's hand finds mine. Cal, what does this mean for Riverside? I can't answer because I'm still reading. Court documents include a request for expedited proceedings given the time-sensitive nature of the development project. Sources close to the board suggest Reed Innovations is seeking a court order to begin demolition within 72 hours unless Reed returns the properties voluntarily. 72 hours. 3 days. Gloria's crying. They can't do that, can they? They can try. My voice sounds distant. If they win the lawsuit, if the judge orders me to forfeit the property, then Riverside gets demolished anyway. Emma finishes. The room goes silent. All the celebrating, all the relief, all the hope, gone in one legal filing. Deja's the first to speak. So, what do we do? Everyone turns to me like I have answers. I spent $85 million buying this building, liquidated my assets, borrowed $15 million from Christina, sacrificed everything, and it might not be enough. I need to call my lawyers, I say. See what our options are. What are our options? Mr. Patterson's voice is quiet but firm. I don't know yet. You bought the building, you own it. How can they take it back? Because I was CEO when I made the purchase. They're arguing I used insider knowledge and corporate resources, that the entire acquisition was fraudulent. Was it? Gloria asks. No, I used personal funds and private loans. But they'll argue I only knew about the property because of my position, that I interfered with a board-approved project for personal gain. Emma's grip on my hand tightens. Personal gain. They think you did this for personal gain? They think I did it for you, to impress you, to win you back after the lying. Did you? The question makes everyone go still. I turn to face Emma directly. I did it because Riverside deserves to survive. Because communities matter more than luxury condos. Because watching Gloria fight for funding and Deja teach Imani to paint and Mrs. Chen make dumplings for families who can't afford dinner showed me what actually matters in life. I take a breath. And yes, I did it for you, because you showed me what it means to show up for people, to build something that matters, to be someone worth being. Emma's crying again. They're going to take the building back, aren't they? Not without a fight. What kind of fight? You just said they have a case. They have arguments. We have counter-arguments. It depends on the judge, the timeline, how aggressive they want to be. Gloria's phone buzzes again. She reads the screen, and her face goes pale. What? Emma asks. Vanguard's lawyers just filed for an emergency hearing. Day after tomorrow, they're requesting immediate property forfeiture pending full trial. Can they do that? Deja asks. If they convince a judge that I'm likely to lose the full case, and that delaying demolition causes them financial harm, yes. They can get a temporary order forcing me to return the property while the lawsuit proceeds. How long would the lawsuit take? Mr. Patterson asks. Months, maybe a year. And in the meantime? In the meantime, they could demolish Riverside and start construction. By the time the lawsuit resolves, it would be too late to save anything. The weight of that reality settles over the room. I spent everything, sacrificed everything, and 72 hours from now, it might all be for nothing. Emma's still holding my hand. What do we do, Cal? I look around the room, at Gloria's devastated expression, at Deja's rare moment of speechlessness, at Mrs. Chen, crying quietly, at Mr. Patterson's shoulders slumped in defeat, at Emma, looking at me like I'm supposed to have answers. I fight, I say. With everything I have left, I fight. And if you lose? The honest answer destroys me. Then I lose, and Riverside gets demolished anyway, and everything I sacrificed was for nothing. Emma steps closer, close enough that I can feel her warmth against the January cold. Not for nothing, never for nothing. Her voice breaks. You showed up. You tried. You gave everything to save what we built here. That matters, even if it doesn't work. Does it, if the building still gets destroyed? Yes, because you proved that some people still choose right over easy, that some people still show up even when it costs them everything. She's gripping both my hands now. You showed up, Cal. For me, for us, for all of it. Whatever happens next, that's not nothing. I want to believe her. But standing in a community center, I might still lose, surrounded by people I might still fail, knowing I have 72 hours to stop a demolition I might not be able to prevent. I don't know what to do, I admit. I spent everything. I have nothing left to bargain with, and they're coming with lawyers and court orders and legal arguments I might not be able to defeat. Emma doesn't let go. Then we fight together. Not just you, all of us. Gloria steps forward. She's right. You saved Riverside once. Let us help you save it again. How? This is a legal battle. Money and lawyers and court proceedings. We have voices, Mrs. Chen says quietly. We have stories. We have proof that this place matters. Deja nods. We have social media, cameras, the ability to show the world what they're trying to destroy. Public pressure, Mr. Patterson adds, make it too expensive for them to proceed, too controversial, too visible. Ideas start flowing. Press coverage, viral campaigns, Testimony from families Riverside has served. Documentation of impact. Fighting not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. Emma's smiling through tears. See? You're not alone in this. You never were. She's right. I walked into Riverside months ago pretending to be someone I wasn't, looking for one night of authentic connection. And I found a family. Okay, I say. 72 hours. We fight with everything we have. Legal arguments, public pressure, media coverage, everything. And if we lose? Deja asks. Then we lose together, but we don't go quietly. Emma pulls me into a hug, and I feel the community close around us. For months, I've been fighting alone, lying alone, sacrificing alone. But this battle, I don't have to fight alone. We have 72 hours to save Riverside. And for the first time since this started, I think we might actually have a chance. 72 hours to save everything. Cal's finally being honest, finally fighting alongside the community he's learned to love. But is honesty enough when you're up against corporate lawyers, unlimited resources, and a board determined to proceed? And even if they save Riverside, can Emma really forgive the months of lies that started this whole mess? Drop a comment. Do you think love can survive deception when the person proves they're willing to sacrifice everything for truth? Hit that like button if you're emotionally invested in finding out, because what happens in these next 72 hours will determine whether redemption is possible or if some damage is just too deep to repair.